regardless, and I would say this for any immigrant that might be watching this, the onus really is on us to educate ourselves, to learn, because yes, we're immigrants here, we didn't grow up here, but it's part of the lived experiences of being here. So yes, we have that side of us that might not really connect and be like, oh, this person is just rude, or the person did that, but I don't really internalize it as much.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the onus still is on me to learn,
Hmm.
right, about the history of where I am, the
Yeah.
history of the people that I identify with, and yeah, how it could uplift the community as a whole, because in some ways I am still plugged into that community.
Hmm.
Yeah, you about to find out, what I'm about, Can't listen to myself.
Welcome or welcome back to the Computer Keys channel. I am Marquise, and today we're back with another episode of the My Tech Story interview series. This is something I started to show that there's a lot of different ways you can get into this tech field. So today I have Tochi with me. So happy we finally getting to do this. I appreciate you taking the time. We
Of course.
actually so Jarrett, who I interviewed last season, introduced us probably like a year ago now, I guess.
No, it's not up to a year. It's
Oh,
still
not
maybe a
yet.
couple of months, maybe like earlier in the year.
Okay. Yeah, my time is like all off right now. But yeah, so he introduced us, and that was like kind of when I was like on my break and everything. So now I'm back, and I'm glad that you're still open to joining me and everything. So I'm excited.
Of course.
We had a conversation last week just to kind of go over everything and get a sense. Sorry, I'm getting my notes. Yeah, but like get a sense of like how everything would go. So I've been looking forward to this since just like the work that you do and stuff like that. Like I'm even more curious now that we had the conversation. So I'm looking forward to that. We're gonna start with getting to know a little bit about you. So you don't gotta remember everything I say, but it's gonna be your name, age, location, hometown, race or ethnicity, a fun fact, and then like some interests outside of work, or, outside of tech and what you do. So we can start with like your name and everything.
Okay. So I hope I remember everything, but
You don't have to. I got
let's
you.
give it a go. Yeah, I trust you to remind me if I miss out on any item there. But my name is Tochi Kanu Ibi. I'm gonna
Mm.
skip the age part. Um,
Yeah, that's cool.
um, but I am in my 30s, my early 30s. What
Mm.
else? I am from Nigeria, but I've been in the States for about 6 years. I currently
Mm.
live in Houston, Texas.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I forget the rest. But
No,
what
you
do I
got
like to do out of like
yeah.
just okay. Yeah. I do consider myself active, like fairly active. I used to run track back
Mm.
in high school. So I try to keep up that like fitness lifestyle. I enjoy singing. Used to be in the choir back in the day.
Oh wow.
And volunteering activities. I enjoy volunteering for causes that really deal with education, especially for like the younger generation.
Mm-hmm.
That really excites me. So I've plugged into a couple of, I would say, volunteering opportunities within Houston and just generally, yeah. Um, and I guess one other thing that that I would want to add to that is, um, I enjoy planning events. I enjoy
Mm.
doing things that bring people together. So I'm always
Mm.
planning like a movie night or just anything random to just have a couple of
Yeah.
friends come together, which is weird because I am like an introvert. I love
Right.
my own time, but I still understand the importance of community. So I try
Yeah.
to, do things to just bring people together. So yeah,
Yeah.
me in a
I
nutshell.
mean, you got everything without me having to remind you, so that's pretty good. So you said a few things I'm gonna double back on. Like being active and stuff. That's something I've been more conscious about like these last few years. Like getting in the gym and like playing ball, doing more cardio. Because like we getting older. I know you ain't say your age, but I'm 31 now, so like we getting up there. You wake up with like those random aches and stuff like that. Like you gotta keep yourself moving, or like you'll lose it.
Yep.
But you mentioned singing. Like, are you interested in like making like your own music, or how do I say this? Like original music, I should say. I guess.
Oh, no.
No,
No, it's not that deep. It's not that
it's not
serious.
okay.
I enjoy singing. I mean, it was choir back in the day. It was like,
Mm,
back in the days, probably like maybe 8 years ago or so.
yeah.
So I think I just like that, like singing within the community or just,
Right, right, right.
when I was younger, we used to do like Christmas carols, like just,
Mm,
during the Christmas period. So that
mm,
used to be exciting for me. So I like singing in groups. I don't know that I
mm.
want to pursue it to the extent of like creating my own material and putting it
Yeah,
out there. It's just like a creative outlet for me.
got you. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I do make music myself, but like I'm not. I can't sing. I wish I could sing because if I could sing, I would just be singing all the time. Like I dabble a little bit. I try to carry a note, but usually my engineer he'll do like the auto tune and stuff for me because I don't got it like that. But no, I do love choirs. Like I love that like the way people come together and like just make the harmonies and stuff. So were you more of like the what is it, alto? Is that like
also,
the
that's,
alto?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I figured. And
I
then
am also, yes.
the other thing you mentioned was like community and being an introvert, and I definitely relate to that. Like making music and doing this type of stuff has given me the ability to build more community in that way and like kind of step out my shell more. But I'm
Hmm.
definitely very much an introvert, so I relate to that. Like wanting to bring people in and do events and stuff like that because I do enjoy that, but then also kind of needing your time to yourself and like wanting to uh, what's the word, like re-energize like in your own
Yeah,
your own space and everything.
yeah.
Um, so before we move on to like what you actually do and everything, how long have you been? You said 6 years in Houston, right? But
No, 6 years in the United
oh, in the
States.
States, right?
But
So
like this, Houston is a year and a half. I
okay,
moved here like January last year.
where were you before that?
Chicago.
Chicago. Oh,
Yeah,
that's a big difference.
it is.
You
It
went from
is.
like heavy winters to basically no winter at all. Like,
And I don't miss the winters at
oh,
all.
I'll bet.
I
I'll bet.
never really spent the full winter period in Chicago.
Okay, yeah.
From like Thanksgiving, I'm already plotting my escape,
Mm,
and most times for sure, like middle of December, so maybe from the 12th to the 15th, I'm typically
mm,
out of Chicago, and I
right,
don't
right.
get back until like the beginning of February. So I try to cut out as much
Mm,
of that winter time as possible. Even if the cold kind of like still lasts from like
yeah.
February, March, even a little bit of April. But yeah, I would always come down to Houston. My sister is in Houston,
Okay.
well, more like Cyprus, a little bit outside of Houston. And I did have a couple of friends here too. So I'll just, come over here for the holidays,
Mm.
hang with family and friends. So yeah.
Yeah, that's what I do. Especially when I was remote. So my mom and my sister live in Florida. So like during, especially around Christmas time, I'm going down there, and up here is freezing. I'm in Philly, so up here is cold, but then going down there is like perfect for me because I don't
Hmm.
like when it's too hot either. I need like,
Exactly.
sorry,
You're good.
I need like that good balance of like low 70s, something like that. So, are you back and forth with Chicago and Houston, or are you only in Houston now?
Now I'm only in Houston. Back
Okay.
in Chicago, it was like the best of both worlds where I had my
Mm,
summers in
right.
Chicago, like
Right.
trying time summer, and then I'll do the winters here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sometimes during the year, I would come back for like maybe like a family celebration or like a big event or whatnot. But yeah, I
Right.
did the back and forth while I was in Chicago. And I think that's what prompted me to move back. I felt like I had this solid community
Mm,
in Houston. So I'm like, hey, I'm just going to move down here,
yeah.
and I could visit Chicago here and there if I wanted to. I think since I've left, I've only been to Chicago once. I went to Chicago
Mm,
last year after I
mm,
moved. I went to Chicago twice last year. One was to move some of my stuff. The other was to like be there for a friend's birthday.
mm,
This year I had planned to go to Chicago, but eventually I didn't. But yeah, I did. I will say I found that like sense of community. Like it
mm.
was stronger for me here in Houston, and
Right.
that was like
Right.
the driving force for my
Right.
move.
I think my last question about this, you mentioned your sister is in Houston now. So did your whole family move over here, or was it just y'all two?
No, I did have. Funnily enough, I was like one of the few folks from my family to move over to the States. Many of my sisters, like they were already here. One of my sisters has been here like 18 years or so.
Oh wow.
Um, so yeah, she's. the one I referenced in Houston, she's been here maybe 12 years or so.
Mm,
Um, so yeah, yeah, for me moving to the States, it was, I was one of the
mm.
I felt like I was the only one back in Nigeria. I'm like, no,
Yeah,
let's keep the
yeah.
family together. So yeah.
No, that's cool. I mean, low key, they kind of did like all the hard work. Like they came out here first, they got established and stuff. They got acclimated and used to being here, and then you was able to come over and like visit and like
Yeah.
kind of reap the benefits of them getting that early exposure and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
that's cool. Are you the youngest?
No, I'm the middle.
Oh,
But to
okay.
your point, yeah, I feel like the older siblings are like the unsung heroes.
Hmm.
They really do a lot. Like I was thinking today of my oldest sister, like how every one of us might have issues, and we're like, going to her for like, hey, like I'm thinking of this, I'm thinking of that, and like randomly it came to my head, like, wow, I wonder who she goes to when she has
Mm,
all those questions, because she probably does
yeah,
have life questions, right?
yeah,
So yeah, I mean, shout out to all the siblings. They
right.
are they are
Bro.
doing the Lord's work.
No, real rap. 'Cause my big sister, she low key like paved the way for me. So I'm just looking at stuff she do. I'm like, all right, let me try this. Let me not do
Hmm.
that. Let me, I love that. I think that was all I had about that stuff there. All right, so I've been waiting to get into this since we talked last week. So, what do you do for how long, and if you feel comfortable, like a salary or a salary range for people? I haven't shared my salary though, so I definitely understand if you don't want to. But the main question is, what do you do and for how long?
Okay. Yeah. So my role is customer success manager.
Mm,
And right now I work with a company that's focused on automation and AI. So I typically introduce myself as a customer success manager for automation and AI products.
okay.
I've been doing this with this company for about 2 years now. But before becoming a customer success manager with this company, I was with Microsoft as a CSM
Oh,
still. And CSM is customer success manager. So I was
yeah.
with Microsoft for also 2 years, in which I focused more on their ERP system, their ERP, and Power Automate, which is the automation um, solution.
Mm,
Um, so now the current company I'm with is UiPath. So altogether, it's about 4 years um, in that role.
mm-hmm.
I'm going to give a range in
Yeah.
terms of salary, starting at Microsoft, and I would say the salary band at Microsoft for the CSM role. And again, this could be different,
Mm,
um, because I want to put in there. I came into Microsoft as an MBA graduate. I'm not sure if it's the same for
like a bachelor's or
PhD, like
something.
undergrad. Yes,
Right, right,
but I will say at that. Of course, I don't remember the
right.
stock or the I did also have a sign-on bonus,
Okay.
but at the time coming to Microsoft,
Mm.
I was like, what's the name of the company? At the time coming to Microsoft, the range was about like 120 to 130.
Oh wow.
um, and
Off like
at
from the
UiPath,
coming
sorry.
in as a with your MBA was 120 to 130.
Yes,
Sheesh. Yeah.
yes. We did get stuck. I don't remember how. It was a lot of stock, maybe like 100K, or I don't remember the exact. I don't want to
What?
misquote how much stock it was, or 60. I don't remember actually. I actually honestly don't remember the stock and the sign-on bonus.
Sheesh.
Um, However, for UiPath, um, the range now as a CSM with UiPath, I would say it's like 170 to like 180.
All right, I'm in the wrong field. What? So I think I mentioned that Jarrett introduced us. So when I did his interview, he was talking about like some years where he would make like 300K or something like that, and I'm like, yeah, I'm doing the wrong thing. And now
Yes.
you coming here saying this, like, golly,
Yeah. And they make because he's in sales. I'm
yeah.
like sales support as a customer success, and I'll talk a little bit about what the customer success
Hmm.
manager role means.
Hmm.
Um, so typically, and maybe I could put it this way in terms of the sales process. I think that might be a good way to explain it, and
Yeah,
also talk
yeah, I
about
think
why
so
Jarrett
too.
might be earning that much.
Yeah.
So if you think of the sales process, there are those who I like to define it like core sales and
Mm-hmm.
post sales. So core sales, they are the hunters. You have your BDRs, you have your SDRs that go there to get the company through the door, and then you have your salespeople that take them through the process of prospecting. They do all those emailing and try to find the right solution that is fit for that customer and get them
Mm-hmm.
to actually buy, right? So that's the role. Typically, you have an account executive there. So the account executive will own their account once that customer has been brought in through the funnel. They own their account and they try to get the sale done. They typically
Right.
have a technical person that they work with. That person would be in the role of, let's say, a sales engineer or a solution architect, but they're whatever
Mm.
name or title they go back, depending on the company
Right.
they are
Right.
in. They work with a salesperson because the salesperson would come in from a business value standpoint, like
Right.
company A, this is why you should buy this solution. And then the technical or sales engineer would say, this is how the solution would work within your environment. So all of it is just like where they're proposing the solution to the customer.
Mm-hmm.
So at that level, those two people, especially the AEs being the account executives, they get
Mm-hmm.
compensation based on like if they achieve their quota. So I mean, back in Microsoft, I've heard of people who would make a bonus of like 500K plus, depending on how well they hit their quota. So yes, the salespeople do rack in a lot
Oh my
of money.
goodness.
However, it is a high pressure job.
Yeah, I
Like you're
bet.
dealing with numbers. Your quota could be, yo, you got to bring in 15 million this year,
Oh,
and like
right. Yeah.
you're gonna, it's a lot of stress, but the
Yeah.
reward is there. So it's like high risk, high reward.
Yeah. No, that makes
Um,
sense.
so that's the pre-sales type flow, I would call it, and the roles that exist within that space. Now at
Mm-hmm.
the other hand, so once the customer has bought the product and solution, the sale has been done, and then there's
Mm-hmm.
a handoff between the core sales team or the pre-sales team being the account executive and the solution or sales engineer. There's a
Right.
handoff between them and the post-sales team. Now, in the post sales team, you would have a customer success manager and typically a technical account manager or a technical
Mm,
counterpart to the CSM. So it's
mm,
similar to how you have the model on the pre-sale side, where you
right.
have
You got it on
someone
the
talking business value and a technical
yeah.
person saying this is how it'll work. The
Yeah.
CSM is now saddled with that responsibility that everything the AE said during the sale, we got to make it happen and we got to show
Yeah.
how it's actually affecting or driving business value. Same
Right.
with the technical account manager. There's whatever the solution engineer had defined in terms of this is how it would work within your environment. The technical account manager is there to implement. So at the post sales side of things, we're more driven to help drive adoption and
Mm,
utilization of the solution. And the big question is why? Why do we want to do that? Now, typically in technology, for technology companies, when they sell a product, it's done, or a solution, it's done based on a contract, right? And a
mm-hmm.
lot of things are subscription based right now, right? Like your Windows software is subscription based,
Yeah.
your LinkedIn, if you're paying for LinkedIn Premium, is subscription based, Netflix is subscription based.
Yeah.
A lot of software companies are going the subscription based model, right? Um, and the thing about the subscription based model is that no customer is locked in, right?
Mm,
They have the ability to say, I don't really feel this product. I want to bounce. I want to try something else.
yeah.
Or they decide, oh, yeah, I'm getting value. I want to renew. So the whole, like that decision to um, get that renewal in place, the folks on the post sales side, so the CSM and the technical account manager, are the ones trying to make sure, again, the adoption and utilization is high, such that
Right.
when it comes down to the decision of, oh, your contract is almost up, and typically contracts are like a year or three. Like that's
Mm,
the time frame, mostly 3-year contracts. So at the end of that 3-year contract, they're like, oh, this product has been fantastic. I'm using it. The users are using it. We're seeing the value. We're saving so much money. We're more efficient. We're all of that fun stuff.
mm,
And they say, yes, let's renew. And even better when they say, oh, you know what? We're going to renew and we're going to tack on more products.
yeah.
And so so while I've talked about the pre-sales and the post-sales teams, both teams work together, especially when you're going through the renewal cycle where the customer may buy more. So you're
Right.
talking, it's a very collaborative role being a CSM. You're talking to all those teams. So on the one hand, the pre-sales folks, the AEs, account executives and folks, they are more of the hunters. I call them the
Mm.
hunters of revenue. And the customer success managers, the technical account managers, they are the protectors of revenue.
Ah, yeah, I like that. Yeah.
I know that was a mouthful, but I
No,
wanted
no,
to make
no.
sure I
You,
like broke down the role and how
yeah.
it all like
No,
intersects.
you
Okay.
broke that down beautifully because I told you when we was on the phone, like I never heard of this role at all. So obviously, I know like you create a product, you need somebody to go shop around or sell it. I guess
Mhm.
you got to find people that want to use it and convey to them that this is going to solve your problems or whatever. It's going to be the resolution that you need. I never realized that the other side of that, and that's why I love how you broke it down because it literally is the opposite, the other side of the coin. It's like
Mhm.
now that y'all have the product, we need to make sure that you're satisfied because if you're not, let's say at the end of the sale, that's it. Y'all just all right, y'all got it, y'all on the subscription, you on your own now. Let us know how you like it. Hopefully you
Mhm.
renew next year or whatever. Uh it's not, first of all, it's not as personable. And then it's also like, to me, having somebody in your role gives you the ability to kind of stay in somebody's ear, make sure that they're using it in a way that would give them the most value to ensure that later down the line when the contract is up, that you and and the salespeople can get back together and make sure that they're renewing or adding on new products or something like that. Like it never
Mhm.
occurred to me that that would be such an essential role. Like obviously, like just as important as the person that's initially selling it, you need the person that's going to make sure that the company is getting the value out of that thing. Because if not, there's no way it could be the product that they need for the resolution, but if they don't know how to implement it, if they're not using it the right way, if they're not using it in the way that really brings the value, then to them it's not working. And then now they're going to go to the next company or something like that. Like I love how
Yeah.
you put that. That was perfect.
Yeah, and it's really important. It's so important. I think a lot of companies are starting to see that now that
Mm,
customer success or the post sales side of the chain
right,
is really
right.
important because now on the sales side, I could and let me give you an example. On the sales side, I could prospect that, oh, I could get this customer to buy and they'll buy something worth, for example, 2 million.
Mm-hmm.
That is not a that is still money in the sky. It's still a wish. It's still something you're chasing. It hasn't
Mm-hmm.
come in yet. But with customer success, we're dealing with customers who have been convinced to buy already, right? So
Right,
we already have them in the purse. We already have them within the fold.
right,
And if we keep them, then it's not like a new number we're trying to chase, right? It's all about like maintaining what we have because
right,
someone
right.
from sales could say, "Oh, this customer is great. We've been having conversations. Da, 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 da. The 2 million, the deal is going to close, but something happens, change in leadership, government
Mm,
policy, whatever. Boom, the deal falls through. That's 2 million that you would never realize, but then you already
right.
have this customer here. How do you nurture that relationship?
Mm,
They were convinced enough to buy, right? They saw
mm,
some proof of concepts or some demos that intrigued them. We just need to make it real, right, and embed
right.
it and make sure that that value is communicated up the ladder, right?
Mm.
And the solution is also embedded. And when I say up the ladder, like up to executives, right? Because at the end of the day, they make the buying
Yeah,
decision.
they don't want
They
that,
hold,
right?
they hold the keys, right?
Yeah.
And but then there's also the downstream part of it. And when I say downstream, like if we look at within the organization, like how are they using it?
Mm,
Because if people are using it, um, then they're also sold. It's also a way for you to like prove like the stickiness of the solution and how it's really embedded within the processes. So
yeah.
it's a very interesting role. It's highly collaborative. You said
Mm,
something about like having the ears. Like it's important because we are interfacing with the customers.
right.
We work with them as they use the solution. So it's a lot of collaboration within the sales teams,
Hmm.
right? We're talking to the account executives, the sales engineers, but we're also talking to the product teams as well. We're also talking to marketing. as well. Because, for example, it might not be like an everyday type collaboration or interaction, but because of how like the proximity we have to the customer, those information are very important to those other teams. Marketing is coming up with, for example, for like with programs or events for customers. We have a table in front of the customers, and maybe they attend one or two events, and we could get feedback from them about the effectiveness, or we could
Mhm.
get feedback from them in terms of the issues they have that would advise marketing on how to create events or sessions that would address those problems. Same with products,
Mhm.
right? Like, oh, we're having this issue, like it's a recurring issue, and we kind of see that, within our customer, like across like 5, 6 of our customers, we're seeing the same thing. We send that feedback back to product, like, hey, we need to put this in the backlog.
Uh-huh.
It's troublesome for our customers, right? And it also
Right.
helps the customer feel good, like, you know what, these people have our ears, right? Like, these
Yeah.
people are listening and they are taking that feedback back to product. So it's a very essential role. I would say it is new-ish.
Mhm.
At the time when I applied for the role of customer success manager, I don't think I'd seen it a lot out there. Um, Even I think Microsoft, at the time when I got into Microsoft, it was a new role within Microsoft about 2, 3 years, and this was
Mhm.
2021. It was a somewhat new role, so it's still being so it's not as common as like an account executive role. I think
Right.
the function was in some ways already being done by certain members of the
Oh, I
team,
see. Yeah.
but they realized that we need dedicated
A
folks who
specific
would actually
role.
go deep
Yeah.
with customers, right? Because that's how you get the stickiness. If customers feel like, I have the attention of this person, or I have like these people are dedicating or investing time to help us actually use and get the value out of it, like it helps with the relationship. And it
Yeah.
also gives the account executive time to focus on hunting for new business
Mhm.
versus hunting and
Trying to,
also,
right. Trying to,
protecting.
yeah.
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 So.
Damn. Something you said that, like, as soon as you said it, I'm like, duh, but I didn't even think about it. It's like, not only are you interfacing with them and able to make sure that they're getting the value, but it's also like you can bring reviews, or
Mhm.
feedback back to your team. Like, all right, this company or all these companies are saying like the interface is weird, or they don't like the way
Mhm.
this stuff flows or something like that. And then now y'all are able to make a better product in the long run because you're getting actual feedback from people that's using the product like that. Yo, it's, it seems so obvious once you said it, but that didn't even cross my mind. Like that would be another benefit of the role. It's like real time feedback from
Mhm.
real customers, real people that are, um, obviously interested in the product, but then also if you want them to renew it, what better way to show somebody that you're listening and that this is worth renewing than showing them like we're taking your feedback and like, look, we implemented this thing that you mentioned that you didn't like or something like that. Like that, yeah, it makes so much sense now.
Yeah.
All right, so before I ask you more about this role specifically, I do want to know. Like, I'm curious, like what you were doing before that. So you mentioned 2 years, about 2 years where you're at now, like 2 years at Microsoft. So that will put you around 2021. So like, what were you doing before that?
So before then, um, I guess let me summarize my
Hmm.
background.
Okay.
It's more like it's tech consulting, program management.
Hmm.
Before I transitioned into like the tech field, or tech industry itself. Um, I I had a stint with like I did a bit of pre-sales work with Oracle. This was so back in
Hmm.
Nigeria. I had worked with Oracle for about a year. It was like a graduate program. It was pre-sales. So how I described the technical, and let me take a step back.
Hmm.
My BSc, my undergrad was in management information systems.
Okay.
So I do have a technical background, but I knew that coding wasn't for me.
Mm.
I did not enjoy it. Could I do it? Could I write the line of code with much stress and annoyance and frustration, and maybe like working with like like my team members,
Yeah.
help me. I,
Yeah.
it wasn't just me. And when you find out like the reason why your code wasn't working was because you didn't put like one
A
parenthesis,
colon
it
or
was
yeah.
like, you
Yeah.
know, like yeah. So it wasn't the fun part of my like
Mm,
training as someone going through the MIS program.
mhm,
I enjoyed more of the business side uh, talk. So I knew that I wanted to be in that. I felt like I had a good opportunity because I understood the technical speak, right?
right,
But
right.
I did want to engage more with business folks than to be like behind the scenes coding and all of that. So um, I had that unique opportunity where I could like find a role that helps me embody that.
Mhm,
So out of college, I did it. I did some training with Deloitte first, then I went into Oracle with a graduate program that was like a year, and I did the pre-sales role.
mhm.
Again, the, that role is the pre-sales, the technical pre-sales. It does like you're creating the demos. That's what you're doing again, because the AEs, the
Oh,
account executives are selling. This is
mhm,
what the product will do for you, right? It's the extroverted where you have to be out there, you have to be cold calling, you have to be visiting people, building relationships, and then
mhm,
the sales engineer in this case it was a so that's a pre-sales technical person would be creating the demos to show you this is how the solution would work within your environment.
okay, yeah.
Even that, I mean, I did it, but I was like, "Ugh, I really don't want to
Mm,
be handling anything technical."
mm,
Um, so I transitioned into tech consulting, which is a happy middle for me. It was less. I don't think. I mean, it was all business talk. It was like I was in KPMG. I did like IT strategy, ERP program management.
mhm,
So all of that. So it was more like, oh, this is you're talking with the technical teams. They're explaining things. I know what it means conceptually. I don't have to be at the back
mhm.
there helping
Right.
them code or figuring out the APIs and integrations. Like, cool,
Yeah.
I get it. I get what you're trying to say. I'm just gonna take that and be able to take the right information and communicate that to the business folks, right? When they're looking for
Right.
updates in terms of how the project is going, or they want to figure out how that would drive their business strategy, or how we could formulate an IT strategy for them.
Mm.
So that was the happy middle. I did that for about 5 years,
Oh, wow.
and I took a break to get an MBA. That was 2019 to 2021.
Mhm,
And while I was doing my MBA, I knew for sure that my days in consulting were over.
mm,
Like I've paid my dues.
mm.
I I would like to not work in ungodly hours anymore.
Mhm,
Or so yeah, I wanted to kind of like slow things down a little bit. So during the MBA program, I actually interned at Microsoft. It was a sales
oh,
operation role that I interned at. That was the role that my internship was based out of. But
mm,
while I was there as it was a sales excellence manager. That was the term. It was like sales ops. It was
mm.
really cool. But I think I had a little bit of FOMO in terms of like
Mm.
being able to communicate with customers, just coming
Oh,
from
I see. Yeah.
consulting, right?
Yeah.
But then I met while I was in the internship, and before I say this, I want to stress the importance of networking, the
Right.
importance
Yes.
of
Yes.
asking questions, of playing the
Yes.
community card. When I tell you that I got so many, like I spoke with so many people, I actually wrote down the number of people and meetings, like unique meetings that I had,
Mm.
60 unique individuals while I was in my at the internship program at Microsoft. Because I was talking with people like in different roles. I could talk to one person, I could talk to three people, they have the same role, right? Because I want to get different perspective. Maybe
Yeah.
someone is a CSM for this product, or they're a CSM for that product, but just asking questions. What's your day to day like? What's the day in the life? What do you enjoy about the role? How would you, this is my background. Do you think I'll be a good fit for the role? What would you advise if you wanted to be in this role? But doing all of that information gathering helped me figure out if I wanted to be in the sales excellence role, or if I wanted to try out the customer success role or any other role within Microsoft. Like I was
Mhm.
open to the fact that I may have come into this company through this role, but I know that possibilities are endless.
Mm.
At least that's how I saw it, and I want to be able. And I think I was uh, fortunate enough to have a manager that encouraged that. and also told me she would support me to the best of her ability, and of course, to the extent to which there's headcount in those roles. If I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
switch to another role, so yeah, that's what happened. And at the end of it, I was like, you know what, I like the CSM role.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it takes a consultative approach to working with the customer.
Right.
You're supporting sales, still, and you're like, so I get that, and you're working with various customers, so it gives that variety. You have
Yeah.
the proximity to the customer. You could see how the solution is impacting them. You're able to collaborate with a lot of teams. I'm like, yeah, this looks like a good role for me, and that's how I made the transition, coming back full time as a CSM.
Wow. 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 All right. So you touched on a few things I want to double back on.
Yeah.
The first thing, and like later on, we're gonna get you. You know, you're gonna give tips and everything, but like networking, you reaching out to people in the position that you potentially want to be in, like that is literally like I don't need a word like career progression 101. It's like
Yes.
look where you want to go. You saying that you said 60 meetings, like nobody is doing that. Nobody is like putting in that footwork of like really figuring out what I want to do. And I think that's why you're able to find a position that you are, I'm hoping, fulfill that, feeling like you get like the best of both worlds. Because
hmm
coming from a tech background and then the consulting and then realizing like I do miss the customer facing portion of what I've been doing. So how can I find that balance? Like it's so many layers to this thing of not being scared to pivot, not being afraid to take a chance on a role or reach out to people and stuff like that. Like I feel like a lot of times we put ourselves in boxes or something like that. Um, you could have easily been like, well, I went to school for this, so even if I don't like coding, I'm gonna just code. You know what I'm saying? It's a job. It's gonna pay me. I could give good money. I'm gonna just code. Like, but you realize like you get more fulfillment. You'll get a better, a better, I guess fulfillment. I think that's the best word for it. Like you get to feel more of what you want to actually do if
hmm
you keep looking instead of settling for this first thing that you might have been good at, you might have, fit into that role or whatever. But yeah, I admire that so much. That
Yeah.
ability to pivot and look at other opportunities and be open to them and not scared about, well, will I be successful in this thing or something like that. Like I think that's, yeah, it's commendable for sure. Like I love that type of stuff because it's easy to get comfortable and to just kind of sit in something. So I love that
Yeah.
so much.
I actually, I mean, if we want to go down that road,
Mhm,
I could, because what you said about like being deliberate about like your career journey and just not like
mhm,
taking on anything.
right.
Um, I do have some things to share there. So I could
Mhm,
talk about like how I went through a layoff and what that
yeah.
was like for
No,
me.
I definitely want to, because next we go into like, was this your, actually, that's a good segue. So the next question is, was tech your original plan? If not, what was it? And like, how did you pivot and everything? So it sounds like what you went to school for, it wasn't exactly what you wanted to do. So I'm definitely curious about the layoff and like how you dealt
Mhm.
with that type of stuff. And so if we can start this question off with, was this your original plan? Was it always going to be something with tech, or were you thinking about something else? And then I want to get into, once you got into tech, what was that experience like pivoting after the layoff, after realizing you didn't want this job, after talking to people and going between the customer excellence or the customer success model manager, like I want to get into all of that. So starting off with, was this your original plan? And then we can get into the rest of this stuff.
Um, No, I was
Mm,
confused. It wasn't always my original plan to be like a
mm,
customer success manager. Going back to school, um, when the MBA program, it gave me an opportunity, like a blank slate. Like I
mm,
could be anything,
mm,
right? But like there's so many things. Which one do I go for?
mm,
Um, I remember I was recruiting for I was trying out for consultant just because, but I knew that I didn't really want to go back to that like lifestyle and the
Mm-hmm.
demands of it. I think consulting is great for the like from I guess from the way they train you to think because of how like the approach they take. So
Mm-hmm.
like no jab on the process, but it can be a very demanding
Mm-hmm.
lifestyle, especially like from on a personal level. And I just didn't want to do that anymore. I also considered product management. I
Yeah.
considered marketing. You see how like disconnected all of these are.
Yeah.
I did a marketing case study during the program and was so interesting. I was like, oh, I think I like this,
Mm-hmm.
And I wondered if like maybe I should try for that, like maybe like a happy meal with product marketing because it's
Mm-hmm.
still, and maybe for a tech company. I know that I wanted to either be in tech. I didn't want to lose my proximity to tech. I still
Right.
wanted to be in
Right.
that space. I just
Right.
didn't know what it would look like.
Right.
Um, so what I did was I think I narrowed it down to what I felt like would be. I tried to look at okay, what kind of experience would I have? Would I
Mm-hmm.
want to have rather? Um, to be honest, I don't even think I did that. I went through that process as much as I did whenever like in the future, and I'll talk about that. But I
Mm-hmm.
tried to narrow it down to kind of experience I had. So for me, consulting, I went to have consulting was like the easy one because been there, done that.
Right.
Product management was new, but I felt like, my consulting experience might help me transition to product. And then I did look at like some sales roles. I was very open. There were times some companies would come to school and they would share what they do. Like I just go in there and listen and try to
Mm-hmm.
see, what's available, do coffee chats with people. So I remember seeing the sales excellence role and I saw like, oh, it's a bit of program management. My program management background can translate in there. It's
Yeah.
Microsoft is a tech company. So I was like, I could try this out. So I think I was more focused. I didn't get stuck on titles and
Mm.
role names. I focused more on like what kind of experience do I
What
want to
would you want
have?
to do?
What's
Right.
the day-to-day demands? How well does the skill I have translate to this field? So I let that be the guide for me. Like, what are the things I do well?
Yeah.
And what based on that, it allowed me to explore a lot more roles than just saying, oh, I want to be because at that time I never heard of CSM.
Yeah.
Like I heard of CSM while I was in Microsoft for the first time.
Yeah.
Even sales excellence, I had never heard of that as a title. But just looking at the JD, I'm like, oh, I could do that.
Yeah.
Um, so that was that. That was kind of like how I got into tech. I just knew that I really didn't want to be in consulting. And I remember whenever I got because the way the program was, you get an internship, you work during the internship, and there's a possibility of getting a full time job during the internship. So once you
Mm.
graduate, you have a job. So I wanted that to be the model that I would go through. Some people do the internship and decide they want to recruit again for another job for full time. But
Mm.
I just wanted to like have something and just know I was settled. So I really tried to figure that out for the internship. I remember getting a consulting offer and getting the offer with the with Microsoft then, and I was actually like, oh, so what do I want to do? But I think the more I thought about it, the more it became clear that I did not want consulting. So
Mm.
yes, the pay would have been higher going to consulting, but I think that's when I knew strongly that okay, this is really what I want.
Yeah.
Like going into tech. So that was the journey into the tech space. Now, what I talked about was is kind of like hinging on career clarity, right? In
Mm.
terms of understanding what are the things that I want to do and
Right.
like how do I figure out, like what are the things that make me excited, what are the things I do well, and how do I figure out how it translates into a role
Mm-hmm.
or how I work with a company. So 2 years into Microsoft, this was 2023. This is 2025,
Mm.
right? Do the math. Yeah,
Yeah.
2023. That's when a lot of companies in the tech, like the tech space, was going through a
Yeah.
lot.
It was
Like,
yeah. It was
yeah,
bad.
it was bad.
It was bad.
I still think it's somewhat still there. It's still
Yeah, no,
happening.
it's
It's
definitely
happening.
yeah. It ain't
Yeah,
recovered
maybe we're
yet.
getting used to them, or it's not as much. I don't even know which one, but
Uh-huh.
2023 was like the big shocker. And
Yeah.
low key, I think it was already happening towards the end of 2022, but we didn't catch
Mm.
on. Like companies weren't announcing it as strongly as they started in 2023.
Yeah.
There were like those quiet layoffs in like November, you know, at least within Microsoft. I think there was a quiet layoff in like November of 2022 or so, some other tech companies as well. But
Mhm.
2023 was like this boom, we're taking up
Yeah.
20%, 10%,
Yeah.
5%. Like everybody was just declaring
11,000
percentages.
people, 10,000 people.
I
Five,
was like,
yeah,
yo,
like,
you guys, this is like
geez.
auction or something. Like, are you like, what's happening? You know? Um, just throwing out numbers and stuff. So I remember then there were 3 rounds of layoffs that Microsoft
Mm,
had announced that they would do. They did one in January, and that first wave, I remember like a lot of people got laid off. And then they did one in February. I got impacted in February. They did one in March, and then by May or April, they took out the whole CS, like the
mm,
for the product suite that I was involved in. They took
mm,
out the whole customer success for at least my region, the region that I
mm,
was in.
right.
So yeah, that happened. Um, and I was out in the wild looking for
Mm,
a job with like so many other people. So again, the crazy thing about this time was that a lot of people were in the job market. Like LinkedIn was
yeah.
super depressing. It was like you open LinkedIn, I just lost my job, help me. If you see any role, let me know. Like
Mm,
it was like you would see so many messages like that. You see people who are like, oh, my visa is about to go off because, I have so and so days to get a job before, I'm out of status.
mm,
And one of the things, like in that moment, there was a lot of desperation, there was a lot of anger, there was a lot of like shock,
mhm,
because for me, like Microsoft had such a good culture. I'm using the word had because I'm not there anymore,
mm,
so I don't know if
right.
things
You don't
have
know.
changed,
Yeah.
but it was such a good culture in the sense, like I really felt like very connected. Like I had mentors. I felt like I was in a very good track and very good position, and just I think it was a reality of like boom, yikes, back to
Mm,
zero, and
yeah.
knowing that all of that like that happened to me, but the world is still moving on. That was scary. That
Yeah.
was isolating.
Gee.
Um, but in the midst of it all, I knew that okay, I needed to like get my head on straight and get something right. Two things I kept in mind. One was that I was not going to act out of desperation.
Mm,
I knew I wanted a job. I knew that I was in a time crunch, but
mm.
I did not want just any job. I
You don't
wanted a
want to
job that
settle.
I would feel good in. If
Right.
possible, I wanted a larger pay bump. Like I'm
Mm,
like, I could get it and I could get it good, right?
right.
Like it's an opportunity. Yes, I'm going to get a job and I could get any job because I'm desperate, but I want to be intentional versus desperate.
Mm,
So that was a big one for me. Just like not being driven by desperation, but more like about intention.
yeah.
Um, and then the second thing I would say was also like thinking about the process I was going to do, like going to go through to help me achieve that. So one was career clarity. Again, doing away with the desperation. I thought about what are the things that I do well. I just realized my laptop isn't plugged in. Um, so big pause. Also changed my background a little bit. Felt like the
Oh,
light
okay.
was like probably better here. Anyways, so I knew that I did not want to be driven by desperation. So I thought to
Mhm,
myself, so what can I do differently? Right. And what I did was, ChatGPT was all the rave then as well. So I used a bit of ChatGPT. I'm like, look at my resume. What are the jobs I could apply for? All of that. It gave me some answers. But I felt like, again, I took the same approach I did in business school, where it was, what are the things I do well? And what kind of experience do I want to have? Right.
right.
Do I want to be back office? Do I want to be customer facing? Do I want to be hybrid? Do I want to be remote?
Mhm,
So just thinking of the experience that I wanted to have was one of the things I did. Then secondly, what are my strengths? What do I do well? Right?
right.
Because I'm not going to tie myself to any role. And asking those questions, I realized there were a couple of roles that I could actually apply for.
Mm,
Right? I could apply for. And in terms of like the process, I talked about two things. One, I didn't want to be driven by desperation. Two, I wanted to be very strategic
mm,
in my process.
right.
So having that clarity and knowing that, okay, this is the experience that I wanted to have, it helped me refine my process. So, for example, people tell you, oh, I remember then, like back then, they were like, you got to apply to like 100 jobs a day,
Mm,
you got to apply to like 60 jobs an hour.
mm.
Let me tell you, I tried it and it was so frustrating. It was
Yeah, I
so like,
bet.
applying for 20 jobs a day is a chore. You can't imagine when people are telling you that, oh, I've applied to 100. I had to, at some point, I had to slow down on like the kind of things I was seeing on LinkedIn because it's
Mm,
like, oh, if folks are doing this, like, then what am I doing? So
mm,
I tried that. It wasn't, and I realized that, you know what, quantity over quality. I'm not
right.
going to apply to 100 jobs.
Right.
I'm going to find the right job for me, and I'm going to be very intentional about how I go to those jobs.
Mm,
So, first off, I figured that I could, and I also didn't want to do the thing. They'll tell you like you gotta have like 5 different resumes because you're applying to so many jobs, right? Your brain is now like having to be compartmentalized into different areas because this
yes.
resume is for this job, and you have to keep track of. I'm like, I'm not doing. It was like that is so crazy. I'm not doing that. I
Yeah,
wanted
no,
as
that's a
much as
lot.
possible if I could use one resume to apply for all the jobs that I wanted because I am so laser focused on where my
Right.
value is
Right.
and what I do well, that I
Right.
could use that one resume for all the jobs that I felt interested in. And that's what worked for me. So when I looked at what I did well, I narrowed it down to I could do a partner development manager role. Um, uh, and I mean, I could talk a little bit about what they do, but
Mm.
it's like how I help customers, they help partners.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's similar. Like so, Microsoft has
Mm.
their partners. So they have like smaller tech outfits that help with implementation.
Mm-hmm.
So we have partner managers that work with these partners to work with customers
Mm.
and help them implement Microsoft solutions. So I could be
Right.
a partner development manager. I could be a customer success manager if I wanted to. I could also be a business development manager because it's still the same sales role. I could
Mm.
be a program manager if I wanted to go back into the like less customer facing side.
Yeah, more on it. Yeah.
And yeah, so I felt like all those like based on the skills that I had, they translated into all those roles. So I had one resume that I used to apply to all those roles. And when I tell you with that same resume, of course, there were times where I would, for the sake of what do you call it now, the
You talking about the like the AI thing that
yes, that
like
goes through
goes
the
through?
resume,
Yeah.
the ATS. Oh my God, applicant tracking system. So like the ATS to make sure that you have the keywords. So for the sake
Yeah.
of that, I could tweak just some words. Like, oh, I
Mm.
could perhaps like if they have some metrics, I will put that in the resume. But I use that one resume to apply for jobs, and I can tell you that I had interviews for a partner. And so there so many roles. I saw like a partner success manager. I'm like, is that just like the same thing? Customer
Mm.
success, partner success manager. But it's just
Mm.
like so again, same job description, same thing that you're doing, just a different title because that's what the company wants to name it as. But I
Right.
got a partner success manager interview. I got what was this one? I forget. I got two partner development manager roles.
Mm.
I got customer success manager role, and these are interviews.
Mm.
I got a program manager interview like with this one resume. So again, that's where career clarity helps you, right?
Mm.
Once you understand what is the value that I bring, how can I then translate that in a way that I don't have to like you don't have to uh, be, for lack of a better word, chaotic in how you're
Yeah.
going about
No,
the job
it is chaotic.
search, right?
Yeah.
Like you gotta understand the value you bring, and that way you can then go for the jobs that help you showcase that value, right?
Yeah.
It might be different titles. If you stay stuck on one title, you might see a slight variation in another
Yeah.
company. They're calling it something different, but it's the same role. For example, UiPath, they had a role last year called Automation Program Advisor.
Mm.
This year, they converted that role to Customer Success Manager because it's the same thing.
Mm.
Now, if you're stuck on a role title,
Yeah. You would have missed
that
that.
was the Automation Program Advisor role because
The
you're not looking for the value you bring or the
mm.
strengths or the actual data. Like, again, what experience do you want to have? Right. And that should be
Mm.
the guideline.
Yo, damn. We was talking about the value you would bring to people. Yeah. Because even right now, like the way the job market is, everything you said will be valuable. Like the main word of the day is about to be intention. Like know what your goal, what you bring to the table. Where can you bring value, but then also what will you enjoy doing? And I love that you
Mhm.
said that you weren't moving out of desperation because when you're desperate, that's how you end up in jobs that uh, aren't the best. You might be micromanaged. You working.
Mhm.
I had a remote contract one time developing where I was up till 2, 3 in the morning coding. Like that job I took, low key out of desperation. Like I was trying to find something. I needed something. So I love that you mentioned like career clarity and then that intention, like especially right now because of the way the job market is.
I have a friend that did like she also like she got laid off,
Hmm.
and like the mortgage was, the bills were stacking up, and she's like,
Yeah,
you know what, I'm just gonna take this job. But she knew from day one, like even while they were still like getting her to sign, there were just some things that she could pick that this company doesn't have the
it's not
greatest
a
culture,
yeah.
but she's like, I need this. So yeah, there will be those situations, but the way she did it, she's like, I'm gonna take this job because I need the
Yeah,
money,
and
but I'm not
while
gonna
I'm
start
looking,
contributing,
yeah,
you
that's
know.
definitely another way to go about it for sure. See,
Yeah.
I got laid off my first contract. This would have been like 2019. Um, so I got laid off, and it's funny enough. Like that morning, I had a recruiter hit me up, seeing if I was on the market, open to
Mm.
jobs and stuff. So I go into the office. They tell me they laying us off. It was a Wednesday. They said my last day was gonna be that Friday, and I'm like, oh shit, all right. So I called a recruiter back, and at this time I'm in Virginia. So I'm just thinking about, I got my lease that's not up until another. At that point, it might have been like another 5 months, 3 months, maybe 3 to 5 months or something like that left on my lease.
Mm.
Um, but similar to you, I just kind of use that as an opportunity to kind of move with more like, all right, what do I want to do? Like, what am I trying to do? So I'm like, all right, I do want to go back to Philly. So let me start looking at places in Philly. Start
Mm-hmm.
thinking about like where I'm gonna work, and this is before like a lot of the remote work and stuff like that. But like, let me start thinking about like what I really want to do and everything. And yeah, I think a lot of people are going to benefit, especially now. I can't stress that enough. Like the way the stuff is right now, I genuinely feel like somebody's going to benefit from just your advice on finding a job in general. Like that would have helped me a lot. So I can only imagine like how much that will help somebody. So one more quick question about this before we move on. Between your layoff and when you actually started, how much time went by between that?
2 months.
2 months?
2 months.
Damn, you was moving. You was
Bro,
on.
when I tell you, okay, and I could break it down, I could break down my
Mhm.
system
No, go ahead.
because
Yeah.
it was intense. I mean, trust me, there were tears in between. Like, I would be
Mm-hmm.
so frustrated. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, 5 minutes up, wipe your tears, boom, open your laptop, we gotta keep moving.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's funny because back then I was on work visa.
Mm-hmm.
And because I talked about like I was in a time crunch, and let me explain that time crunch. I was on
Mm-hmm.
work visa, and what that is when you get laid off on the work visa, which is the H-1B, you have 60 days to find a job
Wow.
or you get out of status. So it was kind of like nick of time
Yeah.
type of thing. But the good thing is that Microsoft, at least they were gracious at the beginning time of the layoff, where they would keep you, they would lay you off, so that whenever they laid me off, it was like a Monday or Tuesday, but I had till Friday.
Mm-hmm.
After Friday, you lose like access to the like your work, the like all the accounts or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and you return the equipment, but you're still employed, you're still on payroll for the next 2 months
Excuse me.
until
Oh
they cut you
wow.
off.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that gave like an extra 2 month buffer.
Yeah.
So I think after a while they stopped doing this and they got more like, they like, "Oh, I guess everybody's laying off, so there's no need to act like for nice about it." I
Mm-hmm.
don't know, but yeah. So at least I had that 2 months cover with Mike. So I would say effectively, since Microsoft gave that 2 month buffer, I had like 4 months
Mm-hmm.
graciously. But at the end of the day, I was able to. I got laid off in March. Um, by May, I got the job. I got like middle of
Wow.
May, I got the new job. Um, so one of the things I think what helped me, like general mindset that I had, was continuous improvement. Continuous improvement. If I find what works, I'm thinking, okay, how do I make it better? If
Yeah.
I find what doesn't work, okay, what are the lessons? What do I need to do? The second thing was community. There was one other person that I knew, like I was friends with, that also got laid off,
Mm-hmm.
and we would meet every week,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll just touch base for like 30 minutes,
Yeah.
1 hour. What are you doing? What's working for you? We're sharing tips. And just again, I talked about how it could be a very isolating
Yeah.
uh, phenomenon. So like having someone who is at that same, who is the same level of energy, and also like going through that thing, it helps because that way you could share experiences. And it's so funny, we got our jobs around the same time and we had
Mm,
like different processes. He went through the referral route. I do what I did, what I call build your own network.
mm,
But it was also slight referral. And I'll explain a little bit about that. So within the 2 months, what I did, I mean, I'll tell you what I did that didn't work. What things I did that didn't work was trying to apply to like 100 jobs a
good job.
day. That
Yeah,
didn't work for me.
yeah,
Sending ask for referral that wasn't targeted, like just, oh my God, I just got laid off. Like, can you just
yeah,
help me? It wasn't, I don't think I got a lot of traction from that. So what I did was I needed to be strategic again. Like, how do I get to the right people? I think I thought, who are the two things? I needed to build my own connection in the sense that there are places where I could have used my MBA, and I did use some of my contacts from the MBA, like
mm,
because everybody's spread across different companies. But there are places where I didn't have anybody, and I had to build my own connection. So one was, how do I build connection to people that would help me get in? So that was one. I forget what the second one is, but I think as I talk, it will come
mm,
through. So what I did was I would take if I yeah, and I found out who was important, who was the person that is making the decision.
right.
So let's look at it. The job market is a marketplace.
Mm,
That sounds very simplistic, right?
yeah,
In the marketplace, you have buyers, you have sellers,
mm-hmm,
right? So you have people looking to be employed, and you have employers, right? Um, and I needed to find a place where both people existed. That was LinkedIn.
yeah,
Now there are many platforms. There's Indeed. There's, I don't know, many other ones.
yeah. It's a few,
But
but LinkedIn is my, yeah. I'm on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn is the one place where you have the jobs, and
Mm-hmm,
then you have the buyers and the sellers in that same platform. So I decided that LinkedIn was going to be my, like, the marketplace of choice for me.
mm-hmm,
And just point to note, you talked about the recruiter reaching out to you.
mm-hmm,
How I got my internship, a recruiter reached out to me on LinkedIn. So I knew that I needed to do it two ways, right? I wanted to have my profile set up in such a good way that recruiters could reach out to me,
right,
but I also wanted to build my own connection. So like a
right,
push and pull mechanism was what I decided.
right, right.
So first things first, update your LinkedIn profile, have a great headshot in there. Um, you know, there are so many tips around like building your LinkedIn profile, but have it in such a way that people can find you easily,
Yeah.
right? Because that helps a lot.
Mm,
And the second piece is, how do you find people, the right people that will make the decisions? Now you have recruiters, you have hiring managers, they are both on LinkedIn.
mm.
Recruiters are like personal shoppers. They go
Yeah,
out there, they
they
look for
do
a
it.
bunch of,
They do it for you. Yeah.
yeah. So they,
I
they go
love
out there, they look for
recruiting.
a bunch of people, right? And they're still gonna take that funnel.
Yeah.
You go through the process, and you get to the hiring manager, and all of that.
Mm,
However, the hiring managers could like tell the recruiter, oh, the recruiters may have missed you, but
yeah.
if you get in front of the hiring manager, they can say,
Yeah.
hey, Mr. or Miss Recruiter, get this person into the pool. And since I knew that the hiring manager had that power, I decided to also start targeting them.
Mm,
So what I would do is, like, I would write like a notes to them. I got LinkedIn Premium, so I write a note. When I find a role, I'll apply. So I'm already in the system. If I had someone that could refer me, I would ask them to refer me, right? If I don't have anybody to refer me, I go in there and I apply. And
mm-hmm,
then I try to figure out who the hiring manager is. So, for example, let's say I apply for a customer success role,
mm-hmm.
and then I go to this company and I see that the role is remote, or I see the role is based in Texas. So I go to the company and I try to find who is the VP, or who will be a hiring manager, like maybe a director role or a VP role. Maybe they'll be involved in the process at least. So I find them. If I'm not sure, and I think it's between like three people, I will message all three. The worst
Mm,
you would tell me is no. Right. So
mm-hmm.
when I tell you I was hungry and I was
Yeah,
hustling,
that's why I'm
boom,
like, yo,
the
you
worst
was
you would tell me
on
is no. So I would craft a message like, hey, this is my name. I just saw this role. I've already applied. I just wanted to send a note, follow up, and I talk a little bit about my expertise. So that's where I
it.
even do a lot of my editings, because I'm selling, like, that is my shot. That's like my elevator pitch in front of them.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
this is also why I didn't even need to tweak my resume a lot, because I was making the pitch to the right people. So
Right.
in that instance, I'm looking at the job description, looking at what they need. I'm talking about the things that I've done and the measurable like impact that I had. Like again, keep it short. These people don't have a lot of time. Think of the persona of the person you're reaching out to. They don't have a lot of time to hit the nail on the
Straight
head.
to
So
the point. Yeah.
yeah, you do that, and then I was very clear on my on what I wanted next. Like I'll be excited. I'm like, excited to go on the next step and like have a chat with you or the recruiter, right, to get into the pool. There are some where I didn't get any response. There were some where I would not get a response, but I would have a recruiter reach out to me. And I'll
Mm,
know, I would literally clock that, yeah, it's because I sent this message. Or maybe I'll see that the person looked at my profile and then maybe the next day recruiter reached out to me. I'm like, okay, at least that worked. Or I have a situation where they tell me, "Oh, I love that you reach out to me. It's very proactive, very this of you. Like, I'm going to let the recruiter know to reach out." And like an hour, I'm getting a message from a recruiter.
mm,
So that was one of the things that really helped me like keep a healthy pipeline. So I tried to make sure because again, you go through the process. Some would fall through the cracks, right?
mm-hmm.
But I was like, I'm going to keep a healthy pipeline. I'm going to keep hunting. I'm
Right.
going to keep hunting for those opportunities and have it and make sure that at least every week I have like two interviews. So while I was doing this, I had already optimized my profile. So some recruiters would also reach out.
Right.
And I know it's crazy. It used to happen that sometimes you have a recruiter send you a message and then you reply back and you hear nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I really don't know why. Sometimes I just try to reply quickly enough, maybe because I wondered maybe if they had a lot of people on their
Yeah.
already answer and they're like, okay, I already
Yeah.
have the number I need. But yeah, but that happened as well. But between recruiters reaching out and me, doing that strategic targeting of who I think the hiring manager is and having them also like pull me into the pool, that helped. How I got my job that I'm in now, I did a bit of both. But actually it was more of a referral. I knew someone in there, so I said, "Hey, I just put in for this job. Can you refer me?" And he's like, "Oh, I know the hiring manager. Let me talk to her directly."
Mm,
And to that effect, I tell people now, if you're having someone to you're having if you're gonna have someone refer you, ask them if they can also talk to the person on your behalf because they're
mm.
internal. They can
Yeah.
see who the hiring manager is. They can see who the recruiter is. Um, so they can send a note to push you up in the pool because again a lot of people are like applying to these jobs and that's another thing I did. I tried to apply to jobs. If I like worst case I would do like a week. If it's been a week on LinkedIn then I'll
Mm.
apply. But anything more than a week I wasn't
Yeah.
because I'm
You
like,
don't even bother. Yeah.
yeah, I don't even bother. So
Yeah.
3 days, 2 days, I do that. Make sure that I'm targeting some like part of the first batch, right? Sometimes I would see jobs that were outside of LinkedIn, but I'll come to LinkedIn to stalk who I think the
Mm.
hiring manager is and make an outreach. So that sort of strategic, and I mean, I could apply to like 10, 12 companies in a day, but because it was very strategic, very
Yeah.
targeted, I was getting a lot of feedback
Yeah.
and getting a lot of interviews. At least every week, I had something, whether it's second round or first round. I had that's like that steady flow and that steady pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, like, if you have someone, I guess finish my thought there. If you have someone who refers you for a role, ask them if they could send a note. And sometimes how I advise people or how I do it is come up with a blurb, right? Just come like hey, help refer me and let me give you this short message
Mm.
that you could send to the person. So already come up with a template, and in the template I'm telling them, like, hi, or this is what I'm telling them to say, where it's, hi, I came across this role and I just
Mm.
referred this person, so I'm directing them to my LinkedIn.
Mm.
This person who I think is a great fit for the role. And then I put in a question there where it's, are you still actively hiring for the role? So
Mm.
that way, when they send it to the hiring manager is sort of forced to respond and
Right.
say, yes, I'm still hiring. This is a great candidate. Thank you. Or, well, we're already further along in the process. So that way I can gauge where I am
Yo.
in the process. So yeah, all of that helped me. I would say, I know it's a lot and like everywhere, but I hope it
No,
helps
that is it.
going through.
So one of the things I wanted to do now that I'm back and this season was do a video about how to get a job right now. But I've been off the
Yeah.
market since 2022. This is the video. This everything everything you just
I
said,
could,
that's the video. That's it. Like
yeah.
if I was gonna give anybody advice, it was gonna be along those same lines. but you
Yeah.
just took it to another level. Like you are, wow, yeah, that intention, the way you're moving, reaching out, like being proactive. I think that's the main thing. It's like
Mm-hmm.
being proactive and going out and getting it. It's like you're not applying to 100 jobs hoping that one or two hit you back. It's like, no, I know what I'm looking for. Let me find these jobs specifically and then find the people at these places that can give me this opportunity. That can, like, that's what I mean when I say, like, go out and find opportunities or go get that shit. Like, go get it. It's right there. Stuff is out there waiting. But people. Some people are timid. They don't. Oh, I don't want to. I don't want to reach out. I don't want to bother people. No, no, no. People are on LinkedIn. Go
Mm-hmm.
find them. Go reach out. Like, yo, I
Yeah.
can. I'm gonna cut that portion and like probably just post that. Like that is literally every bit of advice I would give right now as far as like finding a job. Like you perfectly said, the strategy, reaching out to people, networking,
Mm-hmm.
um, career. What you say? Career clarity. Like knowing what
Yeah.
you want, knowing what the job wants, knowing what value you would bring. Looking at specific roles, not just applying, not just being desperate and trying to take anything. Now, granted, there are situations where you will need to take whatever. But even in those situations, you still want to be intentional and understand like this is temporary. While I'm here, I'm building
Mm-hmm.
my network so that I can move on to something better and something that I actually want to do. Like, bruh.
Yeah. It's a, and
That
just
is
like it's
crazy.
a whole this is a whole like a whole session on its own, like
It
diving into the
is.
details of
It
like
really is.
how the like the outreach is, how I break down the notes when I'm sending them out.
Yeah.
Sometimes I would even put like a video, I'll put a link to my resume
Mm,
in that note when I'm sending it out to the hiring manager, so they could also like I try to make it easy. Like
yeah.
I'm not attaching it. So again, think of the persona of the person
Mm,
that you're reaching. I wanted it to be so easy for them. Like, what do
yeah.
I want from this person? One of the early things I learned about communication was when you're communicating, think about what do I want the person to do, what do I want them to know, what do I want them to feel, what do I want them to do.
Mm,
So having those three in mind, because you've probably had people reach out to you on LinkedIn and you're like, oh,
mm.
no, I don't think I will respond to this. Or you just don't like, it's not clear what they're asking you to do. And
Yeah.
you're like, how do I even navigate this? Right.
Yeah.
And you're talking to VPs, directors who, they're encumbered by a lot of things. They have a lot of things on their plate. So you want to be
Yeah.
very clear and intentional how you're
Right.
crafting those outreach messages. So even when I'm putting the link to my resume, I'm not attaching it as a document. I don't want them to click download, go to download, open, double click.
Yeah.
Open up.
Yeah.
I put a read-only link to my resume, so it's saved on my drive. They click on the link, it opens up immediately, and they
Mm,
could see. They don't have to save it on their drive. I don't even want them to save it on their drive because that's like my personal information. Like my
yeah.
email address is on there, and they don't need to
Mm,
have that on their drive. But they just need to see more details because again,
mm,
my outreach message to them is not lengthy. I'm trying to
mm.
be very to the point and
Concise.
pointing about
Yeah.
like yeah like and what I want them to do is I'm looking forward to moving up to the next stage with you, to
Mm,
chatting with you or a recruiter. Like I'm very pointed in what I want or what the ask is,
right.
and if they're curious they could go click on the link, look at my resume and like, oh yeah, she actually has
Mm,
what we need. Because in the marketplace you want to get as close to the decision maker as possible. That's
mm,
where the magic happens, right?
yeah.
Because once you get the decision maker to say, "Hey, I like what I see," add her to the queue. Boom, the recruiter gets to do that. Because otherwise, the recruiter may have missed you,
Mm-hmm.
right? In the application or like even on LinkedIn or whatever, they may have missed you. But if you have the ears and the eyes of the hiring manager, and it's also great for first impressions because they already feel impressed by how proactive you are. So it's
Mm,
a plus for you even in the interview stage. There are people that have messaged where they're like, oh, you know what? I'm not even involved in this process, but because of how you've sent me a message,
yeah.
I'm gonna
Real
let the
fun.
hiring manager know
Great.
and make sure you are involved. Like, and someone had said that to me, and I did get into the queue, like I went on to interview with them. So
Mm-hmm.
all of that, like, it really just helps being strategic
Yeah.
and clear about like the what you're sending out there. and just being intentional about the process. I
Mhm.
usually summarize it as quality over quantity.
Yeah,
That's what
you put
you
that
know.
perfectly earlier when you said that, and then even with you saying the job market is a marketplace. You got
It
buyers and
is.
sellers. Like the way you broke that down, I'm gonna have you back like even maybe like even like a little Q&A thing where I have people
Yeah,
join and ask you stuff because I did, I talked to a
yeah.
lot of people, and including myself. You have the most refined process when it comes to finding a job. Like I've never It's stuff that you're mentioning that I didn't even think about myself. Like I heavily rely on the recruiters just because I'm a little lazy in that way. So it's like they come to me with the job. I don't want that one. All right, I'll apply that one. Yeah, go ahead and submit me for that one. Like stuff like that. And that was mind you, that was years ago. I don't know what the market is like right now. They might not even be reaching out right now. I don't know. But
Well, they are
I'm
still
on.
reaching out. I think they are.
Mm,
Because one of my friends told me that he got reached out to by Meta and DoorDash. So I think that's where, especially on LinkedIn, because
mm,
recruiters will do that on LinkedIn. So having a good LinkedIn profile is
yeah,
great. But yeah, I'll definitely be excited to like go into details
yeah.
about this. So there's a woof. I We could talk at like this is a whole
That's
one
what
hour,
I'm saying.
2 hour
I
segment
wanna
on its
have
own.
yeah, yeah. I
And
would
when we
love
even
to.
think of like, oh, I'm sorry, I cut you off. I'm just
No,
so
no,
excited.
good, good. Me too.
Like, like there's the part of like looking for a job behind the computer, and
Mm,
there's a part of looking for a job in person, in the
mm,
sense of like networking events like Afrotech.
yeah.
Afrotech is in what 2 months? Is in October, right?
Mm,
Um, and I remember like there are things. I remember going there last year and just seeing people like they want jobs, but they're just standing on the like standing by the
yeah.
side. They're not just being like even how they're approaching um, the recruiters or the people who are standing at the booth, or
Mm,
even going on, or not even the things you're supposed to do before you go to the conference. They
yeah.
haven't done it, so like you would
Mm,
see people who go into Afrotech and they already have interviews lined up
mm,
before like it could be Afrotech, it could be whatever Nesby, it could be whatever conference, but they go in there, they already have interviews lined up, or even if they don't have interviews lined up, whenever they are like interacting with the folks in the booth, they are able to
yeah.
do so in a way that actually gets them
Right.
like. I remember going there. I wasn't actively recruiting, but I was just chatting, just being friendly, being proactive. And right
Mm,
on the spot, the lady was like, "This is the last day, but you know what? I think I need to throw you into an interview." And I was like, how do I politely say that
mm,
I'm not actually actively recruiting, but like there's a way you would present yourself and
mm,
like be very clear about what you want. You're asking them questions, but like they're like, you know what, I want this person. Like I would like to interview you,
yeah.
because interviews happen live at these um,
The conference.
events.
Mm,
So yeah, like being very strategic, because sometimes I hear people say like, oh, Afrotech or Nesby or National Black MBA, it doesn't work. A lot of companies aren't like hiring anymore. Now, have things slowed down? Have things been weird with the
mm,
administration? Blah, blah? Probably,
mm,
but people are getting jobs and you
yeah.
can be one of them,
Yeah.
right? Like you can still get jobs. I know people that got interviews, got jobs from Afrotech.
Mm,
I know people that are still going to conferences and still finding value out of it. It's just about like, do I have the like, and that's the continuous improvement mindset. Like, what can I do
yeah.
better? Do I have the
Mm,
right tools? Am I taking the right approach? So all of those things really, the level of preparation really
yeah.
tells to the type of outcome that you have. So
Yeah. I think what you have is a level of, I'll say, seriousness for like lack of a better word, but like it seems like when you're trying to do like even just the continuous improvement thing, like that's something I'm big on too. Is like when you want to do something or when you want to accomplish something, you do so in a way that makes sure that you aren't playing around with stuff. Like it don't matter what it is. It seems like you just take stuff serious and you apply the amount of pressure that needs to be applied to stuff. And I think that's where a lot of people, oh, I'm kind of too cool for this thing or whatever. Like, no, you want a job, you gotta be out here. You gotta
Mhm.
move like that's what you're trying to do. And I think
Yeah,
that's something that you definitely have is that like we keep saying intention, but it's also a level of seriousness or I'm trying to think of a better word for it, but like a level of responsibility that you apply to certain things to make sure that you're not slacking off or taking it as a joke or letting opportunities pass you. Like, it's like you're doing everything in your power. I think that's the best way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
You make sure that if something does pass you, it's because it just wasn't for you. It's like I've done
Mm-hmm.
everything to set myself up to be in this position that if it goes by me, it's like, all right, that wasn't for me. Cause I know that I'm doing everything I gotta do to be right here. Like, yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. Um,
That's good feedback. I remember, I mean, it's a lot of people helped me along the way. I remember doing like I did like interview coaching or interview prep.
mm,
I remember one day, like when I was talking to my coach about like what I wanted to work on, and she said to me, Tochi, I'm going to work with you in such a way that when you're done in an interview, even if you don't get it, you feel so confident that, you know what, I did all I needed to do in here.
exactly,
I said all
exactly.
I needed to say in here. Like
Yeah,
I finished, like I killed it.
right,
If it
right.
didn't work, it's okay. They went like on to the
Exactly.
next one. Because sometimes I mean sometimes we feel bummed out by like a certain process.
Yeah.
And part of it is also because I mean, yeah, it could be because we hoped for it, but it could also be because maybe we feel
You
like
know
there's
you
ways
didn't.
to not, yeah, like I
Yeah.
could have done this better, I could have done this better, and we're like
Yeah. Yeah.
held
Yeah.
up
Yeah.
on that. So like I try to make sure that yeah, I'm gonna give it my all.
Yeah.
And that thing I try to do is I'm not stuck on the how.
Mm,
I'm going to be focused on the what and the why. Like, what am I trying to achieve and why am I trying to
right.
achieve it?
Right.
So those two are like I'm fixated on the goal and the outcome I'm trying to achieve and the why
Mm,
behind it. The how can change. That's the continuous
yeah.
improvement. I'm like, oh, I tried
Yeah.
this, it didn't work. Okay, boom,
Tried.
let's think of
Yeah.
another method, right?
Yeah.
And then also having like systems in place to help support you through the process because
Mm,
some things are like you would need that encouragement. So for me, a system that I used, like an example of a system would be having that person that I met with once a week
mm,
that helped me with that
yeah.
accountability, right? Was
Yeah.
sharing tips in terms of what's working for us.
For
And that
sure.
thing I did was I visualized um, my progress because it was like, okay, I'm doing all these interviews, I'm not getting anything. I'm like, you know what? At least I'm moving from stage one to stage two. That's
Mm,
progress. I don't
yeah.
have a signed contracts yet, or you know, like I haven't locked it down yet, but you know, I'm
Mm,
progressing. So I did like a visual where I had sticky notes, and I'm like, okay, this company. I had like a recruiter interview, hiring manager, but
mm,
you know, whatever final round. So I had like
yeah.
the whole process,
Yeah.
and I'm like using the sticky notes. So like with Amazon, we have moved on to second round. Oh, with this company, with Microsoft or with UiPath, and I'm just moving that around.
Mm,
And if it falls off, it falls off. Like, oh, I have like two in hiring manager stage. I have like three in final round. They're like, that's
mm,
progress,
yeah.
right? Because sometimes it could be very frustrating.
Mm,
Um, and it also, I think that visual also helped me realize that okay, so my interview, like, yes, I've moved some to the hiring manager stage, but I'm there on the recruiter stage. I
yeah.
need to like put more things in the funnel,
Yeah.
right?
Get more in there.
I need
Yeah.
to because that's it. I just need the one job, but I'm going to do well in making sure I have a good pipeline because all the
Mm,
things I've talked about, all the tips, is really about like the pipeline side, right? There's still another side of like how do you then translate that to actually
yeah.
convert
How do
and
you?
get a
Yeah.
job? Like
Yeah.
this is a whole,
That's what I was
it's
about
a
to say.
whole
That's
thing.
so yeah, because interviewing itself is a skill that when I was in my coding boot camp, one of the things they stressed to us was like being able to interview and everything. Because you can know all the tech stuff, but if you get in there and you clam up and you, I don't know how to do it, like whatever, like
Yeah.
nobody gonna want to work with you. Let's be
Yep.
real. So interviewing itself is definitely a skill, and yeah, I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
have you back, and I want to do like a segment just on your process of getting a job. Honestly, like I'm surprised you don't just make videos about this. But like honestly,
It,
like this,
I should do that, you
you
know.
should, you really should. Like that would be very helpful, especially nowadays. But my bad, I realized I missed a question.
Sure.
Um, but it can also go with number 5 too. So the question I missed was what or who got you interested in tech, and then question number 5 is where did you go to school? And like study your field of expertise. So I know you got your undergrad and then your bachelor's or and then your MBA. Um, so before we get into that, I want to know what got you interested or who got you interested in this field in the first place to want to go and get your bachelor's in, I think you said like information systems. And
Mm-hmm.
then the second part of that knowledge question is, or that study. The school question is, what do you do to gain knowledge now? But first, I need to know what got you interested. Like, what sparked this off? Like, where did that come from?
It's an interesting question.
Mm.
Um, there's this joke that folks say about Nigerians. I've heard it about Indians too, where it's like you can only be like four things. You could be a doctor, an engineer, an accountant, or a
Yeah.
disgrace to your family. So,
Disgrace to your family is crazy. Yeah. Yeah.
so if you're not one of the first three, you're like the other option is like a disgrace to your family or whatever. So
Yeah.
I mean, I knew I wasn't going to be an accountant or a doctor.
Hmm.
Engineer was like, it was so funny. Like coming out of like high school, secondary school, then actually really loved biology as a subject,
Oh
and
wow.
I wanted to be a microbiologist.
Mm.
Like that was what I chose for myself. Like because I actually enjoy biology, and I'll tell you the root of it. At the heart of it, I enjoy understanding organisms. Like it could be
Mm.
humans, it
Yeah.
could be nature, it could be whatever.
Yeah.
I enjoy understanding how living things interact with their environment, and how like they interact with each other. I
Hmm.
like that at the base level. So that's why biology was one of my like how they interact with themselves, with the environment, with each other.
Hmm.
Biology was one of my favorite subjects back in school, and I was like, I'll just study microbiology, maybe because it had biology behind the name. I don't know.
Mm.
Um, and my dad was like, "Why would you study microbiology?
Mhm.
Instead of studying microbiology, just study medicine. Why would you study a
Mm.
subset? Like just
Yeah.
go for the
Yeah.
crown." I'm like, oh my god, like that is so Nigerian, Nigerian.
Right.
That and I'm like, I don't want to be a doctor, so I guess I have to go back to the drawing board. And I remember, so we had this book or whatever, like. So we had an entrance exam. So typically in Nigeria, there's an entrance exam you have to write before you go into the university.
Mm.
And that exam, it was like a universal exam that gets you into any college, and there are certain subjects that you need to write
Mm.
depending on the course you're going for. And I'll give an example. So let's say if I think there were four subjects. So for example, if you want to study, let's say law,
Mm.
you would have to do it like I think math and English are compulsory, and maybe they'll tell you to do just for example geography and I don't know, commerce or whatever. It's like
Mm.
they'll just like pick four. Like if you're going for this course, these are the four exams you have to write before you enter into any university. Like that, those are the core topics you need to like core subjects you have to pass an
Right.
exam in like those four. So I
Right.
remember thinking, okay, so I can't be a microbiologist and I don't want to be a doctor. What else can I do?
Mm.
And I was like researching. I'm like, you know what? Let me just go by subject. I guess it
Mm.
goes back to the like, what do I enjoy and what kind of
Yeah.
experience?
Yeah. So you been
So
had that mindset then of like, what would I actually like to do? Yeah.
yeah, like what subjects do I like? And I remember like I didn't like physics. I was a
Mm.
science student in school because back then they would separate us like at some point, like the last 3 years of high school, we would sort of like you would either be a like an art student or a science student. So not everybody did.
That's
So at some point, not everybody did. Not everybody took physics or chemistry. I think everybody did biology. I don't remember how they kind of like broke it down, but you would sort of somewhat specialize, right?
that seems like a lot of
Um,
pressure though, right? Like uh,
right?
that seems like a lot of pressure. Like
It
imagine if
is because it's like
you
a
going,
locked in, right?
yeah. Like
That's
what
how
if
the
you don't
education
like it?
system is in Nigeria. I don't know if they've changed it, but like yeah, you would like, and it was so weird then because you would so it's like there were the science students, there were the art students. I think there was even like one that was like more like business, like in
Mm.
between. So yeah, you would the last 3 years you begin to take separate subjects
Mm.
based on whatever path you pick. So I was a science student, but I knew I hated physics. I did not like physics. Like biology was my favorite, then
Mm.
chemistry. I did not like physics. So I knew that I like in those topics, like in the four topics I needed to pass those exams in to get into college. I knew that I didn't want to write physics. So
Mm.
I kind of like scanned through and like all the different um, professions or whatever I could
Mm.
study versus the topics that I needed to pass. So I found MIS. I'm like, oh, I've never heard of this.
Mm.
And then I went on to research what MIS was all about, like management information systems, what they do, like how you would turn out. So I think there were two that caught my eye. One was estate management, which is more like real estate,
Okay.
related, yeah. It was around like real estate. I guess that's what we called it, estate management, which is kind of like different because estate management here it's more like your will or something. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
know.
It's like it's like everything, you know.
Estate, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But in Nigeria, the course is more like if you want. Most people come out of that course and be realtors or whatever.
Mhm.
So it was between those two. But when I researched MIS, I'm like, this is fun. Like I get
Mm.
to explore technology and then also the business side. And I looked at all the like what you could come out like the kind of jobs you could get once you pass through MIS. And I'm like, I like this. My brother was an engineer like by training, so he
Mhm.
he went the engineer route. And I thought like, oh, it would be cool to learn a little bit of tech, like be
Mm.
the because he was the only one who did something technical. My other
Yeah.
sisters were like in like business classes or accounting or something. So I'm like, you know
Mhm.
what, it would be cool to like also be like technically inclined or something
Yeah.
like because the MIS was like a happy balance, like best of both worlds between IT and business.
Mhm.
So yeah, I was sold. It was pretty much the subjects.
Mhm.
I was like, yeah, and these are like my favorite subjects. So I'm sure I'll like get a real good score and get into a
Yeah.
real good school. So that was the process for me.
Wow.
And how do I keep learning now? Um,
Oh, sorry.
now in my
So before you get into that, so you did the exams there. So you went to school
in
for your
Nigeria
undergrad and your
in
MBA.
MIS, yeah. So management information system. That was my undergrad.
Mm.
Um, And so coming out of the undergrad, so that's when I went into consulting, then Oracle, then consulting again before coming to the US for my
So you
master's
got
in
your
business.
MBA. Okay. So where'd
Yeah,
you
so I
go
got
to
my
get
MBA in
your?
Texas
Okay. Okay. Got you.
in UT Austin, so Macomb School of Business. Um, the school I went to in Nigeria was a university called Covenant University.
Mhm.
And then in the states here, I was at UT Austin
Mhm.
um, for my MBA, and the MBA wasn't specialized at the time. They were kind of fluid in
Yeah.
specialization. Was towards the end that or in my second year they were trying to get us
Mhm.
more like aligned to a specialty or
Right.
something.
Right.
um, and it was sort of like the way they looked at it, like if you take 1, 2, 3, 4 courses, then you could say that you were specialized here.
Yeah.
So for me, it was more like strategy and innovation. So there are some places where maybe when I was applying out of business school, they would ask for my specialization, and when they did, I would then put strategy and innovation.
Mm.
But yeah, for the most part, it wasn't really specialized. It was just like um, an MBA.
Got
Yeah.
you. That's pretty cool. See, like I've only talked to like outside of the states. I had an interview with somebody last year from London, so I was curious about the schooling system there and stuff like that. Um, but I mean, honestly, Nigeria sounds pretty similar to here because we have the SATs, which you need those to get into school. So it's like a English portion, math, and I think there's another thing. I think there's like three things that you got to pass. But like
Mm.
using your SAT scores is how it can determine like if you can obviously use your grades from high school and stuff like that too. But like the SATs is a big part. So it sounds like that's kind of like the equivalent of your those exams that you took there.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, that's cool. Like I think as important as it is to know what you want to do, it's also important to know what you don't want to do. And I think some people, like I've known people that have gotten full blown undergrad degrees, finished out all 4 years, got the degree and everything, and something that they didn't want to do at all. It's definitely something um, empowering about like knowing like, yeah, that's not for me. And
Mhm.
I think it makes it easier to know what is for you. So before we get into what you do for knowledge now, I am curious being an immigrant and then like coming from Nigerian family, like of course there's the like you said, there's that you wanted for things, but then there's also I'm sure there's a level of like I don't want to say responsibility, but like feeling like you don't want to let them down and stuff like that. So did you feel any pressure going into school, or even coming here, of like not wanting to let them down, or not picking the right path, I guess, something like that? Like, did you feel that?
Yeah, yeah. Or I felt it. Um, I, I wonder if I, in some ways, I wonder if I felt it all my life, but I felt the
Mm,
strongest at the
mm, at
MBA.
that point, yeah.
It was the strongest.
Wow.
And I think that's what even I talked about getting like an interview coach because I'm like, I wasn't feeling like in my element. Like and
Mm,
I knew that. I mean, I put a name to it, that imposter syndrome, right? Like where it's
yeah,
like I
yeah, that's
lost
perfect.
sight of where like my confidence, and I'm like,
Yeah,
I used to like have meetings with executives in Nigeria. Like, why am I
right.
unsettled here?
Mm,
Or like just pressure to do well in subjects that I don't like account in, and
mm,
I have to like still
mm,
ace this assignment and all of that. Like, it was a lot of pressure. Plus, I think I'll talk about some of the things that made like it hard for me. So there was the part of like um, not letting people down. Like, so
yeah,
whether it's my idea of what I thought was like not letting myself down, not letting my family down.
yeah.
And also for many people, I was a picture of Nigeria.
Mm,
I was a picture of like, I had people asking me like, oh, like, so are there skyscrapers in Nigeria? I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, this is so like, it just felt, it was a lot, right?
yeah,
And some of the things that made it hard was knowing that I was starting from scratch in some way. So I guess I have my
mm,
family here, but then I was in school. But then
yeah.
my friends that I had built so many years of relationship with, we were
Wow.
separated by time zone, not just distance, but also time zone. So
Yeah.
I'm coming in from class like, or from the day around like 5, 6. Um, I can't really connect. I can't really vent about my day to them because they're asleep. And then I wake up and it's 8 a.m., 8 a.m. classes.
Yeah.
I don't really like to say I'm not a morning person, but I'm not a
Mm.
morning person. So like it was so hard transitioning, and just walking through all of that.
Mm.
I think one of the things that really helped me was um I guess beginning to find my community within here.
Yeah.
And you would
I
hear me
was,
say
yeah,
community a word. A lot. I've been saying community a lot, even from the start, right?
yeah.
Like me moving to
It's
Houston,
important.
community, me creating events, community. It's so important. It's so
Yes.
important. It's so grounding. Finding the things that were essential to me,
Mm.
like the right people. My faith was important to me, like making sure I was plugged in, like just finding things, like those were the things that really helped me.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, it was hard, like just and yes, I did feel that, like that imposter syndrome, but then also understanding that while while I'm feeling all of this, the only thing I needed to focus on was myself,
Yeah. Yeah.
because sometimes the pressure is imagined,
Mm.
in the sense is like, oh, these people are looking at me for this. Did they tell you that? Oh,
Right.
my parents expect this for, oh, did they tell, like, and even if they did, what do you want? Right?
Yeah.
To focus on me and my journey and what is right for me, what is safe for me. And um, knowing that even those around me are going through somewhat the same
Yeah.
experience. Like they are all like everybody has done different things for X number of years, and now we're all in this school setting, and we're also trying. They're all trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
So maybe we just need to figure it out together instead of trying to wonder if I'm figuring it out the right way. There's
Yeah.
no right way to figure anything
Yeah.
else. You just have to
Exactly.
do it. You
Right.
know.
Now, I like how you put that. So we kind of went into the next question, but before we go there, I do want to know what you do to gain knowledge now, because like just based off of your mindset and stuff that I'm hearing, like, what are you on YouTube? Like, what are you doing when you need to learn that new product that you're making sure that the customer is successful with, or even as you were in school, what are you doing to gain knowledge now?
So it's a mix of things. So product wise, especially when it comes to like the like UiPath products and solutions.
Mm,
I focus mostly on the training we do internally because there's a lot of trainings around like, oh, this is the solution, this is what it
right.
does, this is how you pitch, this is the how you communicate value, etc. So a
Mm,
lot of product knowledge. I focus more on UiPath materials for CSMs or just for the employees.
mm,
Now, if I'm going beyond UiPath solutions, just to have an idea of like, oh, like I mean, ChatGPT was all the rage, and everybody
mm,
had like this there's Gemini, there's
yeah.
and there are different like GPT models. So if I want to learn a little bit more about that,
Mm,
then I go to YouTube.
yeah.
Uh, because my role is customer facing. It's like you're dealing more with like people skills. For that, I would lean to maybe it could be podcasts
Mm,
or books. Now, there's one book that I read and I like to reread all the time. It's called Let's Get Real or Let's Not Play. It
mm,
was recommended to me by one of my mentors back in Microsoft. I think it's a phenomenal book that really helps you, especially if you are customer facing. I mean, I think it's great for sales. I also think like as far as you're just dealing with people, like
yeah.
it talks about like the process. Like one of the key things I really loved about the book was about like suspending judgment or like
Mm,
holding assumptions off. Like because you could have, for example, one of the like how we broke it down was like you could have customers, same customers, same problem, same industry, but the solution might be or the approach to the solution might be
mm,
different for them,
yeah.
right? So being able to listen because sometimes like especially when you're coming from a consulting background like oh I already know
Mm,
the solution
yeah. I already.
or
Yeah.
you're selling you want them to use the product so you're already coming with like this must be like I you need to need this solution whatever it is you're doing you need to need it but even if they need it they might need it a different way so it's like
Right.
suspending judgment and really listening and be like if they say oh I want IT's transformation like okay what does IT transformation mean for you it could be different for customer A and customer B.
Right.
So the book really does a good job of breaking down that process, how to structure the questions. So yeah, I would. So that's one book I will say that I consult from time to time
Mm,
around the sales process or the soft skills side of what I do.
mm. I might have to check that one out. You said it's called "Let's Get Real."
Let's get real or let's not play.
Oh, let's not play. Okay.
I think it was written by two people. I forget their names.
Mm.
But yeah,
I'm,
it's a
I'm
good
gonna have
one.
to
Let's
check
get
that
real.
one out.
Yeah.
All right. So we kind of touched on this a little bit, but I want to dig a little deeper. So the next question is, what has your experience been like as a, well, in your case, as a Black Nigerian woman? And then I want to touch on a few things. So you kind of got into the familial aspect of it, how like those pressures can come, and
Mhm.
internal pressures and pressures from your family too. But I'm definitely curious about your experience here as an immigrant also, because you are the first person I've talked to that has immigrated here and pretty much just came here, immersed yourself, and just had like this success. So I'm definitely curious what your experience has been like as a Black woman.
It's been it's been interesting for many reasons. I think one has been a learning experience
Mm-hmm.
because and I would say this because I mean, if I'm filling a form in the US, I'm gonna hit black every time. So every person who looks at me, I am black.
Yeah,
However, I have a different experience than the average
Black
African
person.
American.
Yeah,
And I had to recognize that. Again, I
mm,
came to 2019. If we think about 2019, 2020, we think of George Floyd. We think of like there was a lot of things around diversity. And
yeah,
so it was a learning opportunity for me,
mm,
firsthand understanding. And I think even coming through business school, that gave me a very good opportunity to learn from my peers.
mm,
Um, but then just seeing like it was made real for me, right? Um, seeing the reality and knowing that like to any person who looks at me, I could get I may not have the history and the context,
mm.
but I
But
could be
you,
subject to the same
it'll be applied
experience.
to you the same way.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
damn.
in some ways there is that solidarity where it's and just from like I think even just from a humanity standpoint, I
Right.
think anyone who sees just from a human level, we should treat everyone with respect, right, and
Right.
treat everyone fairly. Um, so it was almost natural to sort of bear that burden as well.
Mm.
Um, so there was a lot of learning in terms of like the African American experience, how it translates to me as well,
Wow.
and how to navigate that. So I won't say it's a finished job; it's an
Mm.
ongoing process. Learning aggression in itself, and then the microaggressions that you might.
Yeah.
It's a whole lot of things to unpack.
Yeah.
But I think it really starts with an openness to learn,
Mm.
openness to listen,
For sure.
and engage. So that really, I think that was one thing. I will say that there are some levels where there are things that I might not clock as quickly
Mm.
as, especially when we talk about like microaggressions
Right.
or discrimination and stuff. I might not just catch it as quickly as folks like African Americans because there's that
You're not
history.
used to that. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. There's that. I mean, it was. I remember like there was an experience in the store where somebody was walking around with me. I was like, why is this person doing that? But it
Mm.
didn't. I'm like, "Oh, whatever. I just want to grab this thing." And it was like maybe a year later, and I was talking to one of my friends, and I was like, "Oh my god, that's what was happening to me!"
Yeah.
Like it just like
Yeah.
the,
They
the
trying to
feels
make sure you
connected in
wasn't
my brain.
stealing.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
wow, that's what was happening. In some ways, it's I'm thinking of the right word to pick,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like in some ways it's freeing in
Mm.
the sense that I could relate without having any like, oh, this person might be doing this.
Mm.
In some other ways, it's also very like, and then I realized that, oh, this is what they're doing. So, and I say that to mean that like there might be cases where things may have been targeted at me that I
Yeah.
didn't just click because I don't have that history.
Yeah.
Um, and then there are times where it's very blatant, and I'm like, okay, this person is just being
Right.
rude.
Right.
And sometimes I would even tag it as rude before I think racist.
Erase it. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think in some ways, it's a learning experience for me, and yeah, I just try to take in as much as I can, and also like be more. What's the word now? Like especially when I'm relating with people, when I'm relating
Mm.
with like all of like folks of other races, I try to be like as open as I can. I try to make sure I'm listening and making sure I'm learning. But in some ways, yeah, it's overall it's a learning experience for me, and
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know that I've, especially in the workplace, I don't know that I've experienced a lot of aggression. Like the example I gave, like walking in the store,
Yeah.
in a store. But work wise, while I was at Microsoft, I will say the experience was good.
That's good.
Um, I will say that I know of colleagues that had probably had not as great experience.
Mm.
It's what it is. It's not a perfect world anywhere,
Mm.
but for the most part, Microsoft did have a good culture that really promotes fairness and diversity
Yeah.
overall, and appreciates diversity. Same with UiPath where I work now. So overall, I just haven't had that like any personal stories, so to say. Part of it could also be, again, I'm not probably not catching it as quickly as
Mm.
others, but at
Yes.
the base level, I'm still checking like, oh, this is rude or this is unfair. At the
Yeah.
base level, there's that, but
Yeah.
there might just be those quiet cues that maybe I'm not catching,
Yeah.
perhaps. But yeah.
No, that's why I was excited to get to this question, because it's an interesting perspective to say the least. Like you coming from Nigeria, which I would imagine like is black people everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Everybody
Hmm.
Nigerian. So coming here where you are the other to some extent, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then you're in Texas too. You spend a lot of time in Texas. Texas is
Yep.
not for the that's a
Oh,
that's a very specific type of state over there. So
I learned.
um
I heard about the sundown towns. I'm like, oh wow, that exists. And then you begin to
yeah,
like see things on the news or like oh my
yeah,
god.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, I love that you haven't had anything at work. You know, that's number one. Like usually when I ask this question, even me, people, especially the microaggressions. But something you said that's very interesting to me is maybe you not catching it, and I think that Yeah, it definitely speaks to the Black American experience, I would say, as far as
Yeah.
like being so used to certain things that you're always kind of on edge of like, what you mean by that? Or like stuff like, when stuff is said. Um, my first contract, I had a Asian woman tell me, I was walking and she said, "You look so black." The way she said it, I was like, "What you mean?" Like,
Yeah.
like it just kind of hit me in a way of like, clearly the connotation there, it just wasn't in a positive way.
Yeah.
So
That one is definitely weird that she would say
yeah,
that.
yeah, like
Like,
so like stuff like that, you kind of, I won't say a privilege, it's not a privilege, but it's kind of, I don't know the word to say, but being able to move through this country in a way where you don't see stuff through a racial or as much of a racial lens as black people born here, because that's how
mhm.
we're brought up. It's like learning the history. Obviously, the history is the number one thing. Slavery, Jim Crow, redlining, gerrymandering, like all types of racist stuff happening. So like you're just kind of ingrained with that. So when you encounter these things, it's kind of like the first instinct is to assume
Mhm.
that it's a microaggression or an aggressive aggression, like somebody actively being racist. So you being able to come here and have this experience of like, oh wow, last year that person was following me around the store because I'm black. Like it's not good. Obviously it's not a good thing, but like it gives you the ability to not have that on your back all the time. And I think this is
Yeah.
something I didn't realize until like just now, like hearing you say, like tell your experiences and everything. Um,
Yeah.
I do
True.
see a lot of stuff through that lens of somebody saying something a certain way, looking at me a certain way. Literally, like just the look sometimes will have me like, "What are you staring at me like this for? Like what? I'm just walking through here. Like why are you?" We went to, I think we was in Massachusetts. I was a kid or like a teenager. We're going around the store. I'm with my family. The woman is following us around. My big sister's like, "You want a shot with us?" Like that type of stuff is like what we're used to. So for you
Mhm.
to come here and be able to have that, for lack of a better word, I'll say like naivete of not knowing the history to the point where it's is like sitting on your shoulders all the
Mhm.
time. I would say like that's a good thing. Now, what's bad about that is the times where somebody is doing that stuff and maybe not recognizing that. But again, I would say there's some good portion of that too, because you're not going to let that ruin your day. You're going to be like, oh, that person was rude, or that person was, they're just a mean person or having a bad day or something like that. And you
Mhm.
won't internalize that hate. You won't internalize that as, here we go again, another racist person and this another, something like that. So damn, this is an interesting perspective. Like I
It
never
is.
thought about this
It is.
like, at all.
But you're right. Like in some ways, being naive or oblivious to a
Yeah,
deeper
oblivious. I think that's
extent,
a good word.
it's
Yeah.
it has its upsides. But I would also say this, and I think that's what helped me again in B school, like just learning from my peers, and
Mm,
even having gone through that judge, like being around for the George Floyd incident and
right.
seeing, like, because it was I think that was, and I mentioned that because it was a teaching moment for a lot
Mm,
of people.
mm,
You know, um, myself inclusive, and the white folks and all of that. So I think,
mm,
and I think since then, I mean, even before then, like while I was like, again, because I'm here, so I'm black. It's what it
yeah.
is.
Yeah.
I was already learning, but if anybody went through 2020 and they missed that opportunity to learn, like, are you under a rock?
Yeah. Right.
Or is your heart so hardened that you
Right.
wouldn't, Um, so regardless, and I would say this for any immigrant that might be watching this, the onus really is on us to educate ourselves, to learn, because yes, we're immigrants here, we didn't grow up here, but it's part of the lived experiences of being here,
Mm,
right? And it's important that we learn.
yeah.
So yes, we have that side of us that might not really connect and be like, oh, this person is just rude.
Mm,
But, you know, on the other, or like you said, where it's, oh, the person did that, but, I don't really internalize it as much.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
the onus still is on me to learn,
Mm,
right, about the history of where I am, the
yeah.
history of the people that I identify with.
Yeah.
um, and yeah, how it could uplift the community as a whole, because in some ways I am still plugged into that community.
Hmm. No, I love that, and I love how you put that because to me, when it comes to like the diaspora or whatever, we're all black. Especially when you're here, a racist person isn't going to look at you like, oh well, you're Nigerian. I won't do that to you, but you're
Mhm.
black. I'm gonna no, you're black.
Yep.
Once you come here, you're black. So to me, the like diaspora wars or whatever people want to call it, where it's like, oh, you're not such as no. What I think the problem is when people don't have the mindset that you have, where they come here and they might see black culture through music or the media, and they'll have these preconceived notions. But then that also goes back to what you were talking about before, where it's like probably maybe related to that book you were talking about, but like not going into stuff with a certain level of judgment or whatever, like being able to
Mhm.
being open to learning and listening. And I think that's what sets the difference between somebody coming here and placing judgment on black people, or y'all just ghetto, all y'all do is kill
Mm.
each other, all y'all do is this, and not understanding the layers and layers and layers of years of oppression and generational trauma and just being pushed down, and how that stuff can lead to people robbing people or killing each other and stuff like that. Like it's a systemic thing. And
Systemic, yeah.
so you being able to come here, immerse yourself and educate yourself, I think is like, yeah, that's everything right there. I love that.
Thank
um
you.
so the before we move on to the next one, it was something else I wanted to ask you about this. Oh, about the community. So we mentioned community a few times. So you come in here, your sisters, you had your two sisters here or one sister?
Oh, so we're a lot of girls. We're six girls.
Oh, six of y'all?
Four of them are here. But so while I was in school in UT Austin, I had a
Mhm.
sister so my sister here in Houston. Then she was in like Sugarland, and the other was is in Dallas.
Mhm.
So I did have sisters in Texas. Yeah.
So you had that family here, but you coming here, you mentioned your community was in Texas and stuff. So was that something that you were as intentional about as like when finding a job and stuff? Were you like when you came here, were you like, I'm going to build my community here? I'm going to find that, because you mentioned like the time zone difference and stuff like that. Like, was that something that you were like actively trying to pursue, or did it just kind of happen?
Um, Funnily enough, I think it kind of happened.
Mm-hmm.
It was like maybe a mix of both.
Mm-hmm.
So, like for example, being in school, you know, it's based on the people around me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I did have a local church that was close by, so I did have some community from that. Although again, I think that kicked in the later part of the program, like towards the end,
Mm-hmm.
because there was COVID. So
Right,
we
right.
weren't really meeting in person for like the
Yeah,
first year of
yeah,
school and stuff. Um, so yeah, there was that. And then after school, I moved to Chicago, so it was like all newness.
yeah. All
And
over again.
all over again. So it's
Yeah.
crazy. I've moved three times in like 5 years.
Mm.
So that really did impact my like community forming in
Yeah,
some ways, because it was like I was always in motion. So
yeah.
did like 2 years in Austin with school, partly hybrid, and those sheltering in place moments I was with my sister.
Mm.
Um, and then after business school, moved to Chicago. In Chicago, there were a couple of us who moved to Chicago for work.
Mm.
So we kind of like formed the bond. It was a very wide
Yeah.
range where like we had folks who had just graduated like undergrads, and we had folks who were also, I had folks who were also like from business school, maybe like one or two of them.
Mm.
So at least we had each other. And it was that thing like, one person, the person introduces the next
Right,
person.
right, right.
um, I love volunteering. So one of the things I would look for when I move to a new state is what are the things that make me me.
Mm.
Um, Volunteering is one of the things. So I find somewhere to volunteer. I did a big brother, big
Oh
sister
yeah,
for
yeah.
about like a year plus while I was out there. Um, I also had like a local church. Then what else did I do? I think this was like the major like regimen that I had.
Mm.
Occasionally, work out with some friends and stuff. But yeah, and then moving back to Houston. But while I was in Chicago, I was noticing that I was flying back to Houston for
Mm.
events. I'm like, you know what? I think that I have like a stronger base
Yeah,
here.
in Houston, yeah.
Folks, because, and I'll say this, like moving, I talked about this earlier, moving from Nigeria to here, I lost that thought. Like when people say, oh, yeah, we went to middle school together or like elementary school
Mm.
together, I didn't have that,
Yeah,
you know? So it's like all this history, I don't have anybody to say, oh, do you remember that time? Because,
right.
so in Houston, I did have some friends that, at least we went to high school together
Mm.
or something, or we went to college together because,
Yeah,
I moved here after college and stuff. So, and then my sister is here as well. So I was like, you know what? I think I felt more at home,
yeah.
Houston felt like home for me anytime I would come here. So I moved down to Houston. So did the same thing, found opportunities to volunteer, got involved in local church here.
Mm.
Um, Found friends who like similar things like I do. So we have like, or we work out on these days, or whatever it is. So having those things helped me find community. Um, I also talked about. I didn't talk about one of the things I like doing. I actually like to dance. I used to be in a
Mm.
dance group in university.
Oh
Um,
wow.
those days of you got served. Yeah, we'll go.
You was doing
We'll
that.
think we'll think we're
No.
unmarried and all of that crazy thing. So, but now I do mostly salsa. I love salsa. So I joined like and it's so funny. I was self taught for salsa.
Mm.
Um, but I joined a dance class. Have salsa practice Tuesdays and or Wednesdays, depending on if I wanted to go twice a week. So
Mm.
just finding those things that sparked joy for me,
Yeah.
those things that made me me. Those were the ways that I think I've been more intentional about community since I moved to Houston versus
Right.
while I was at school or when I was in Chicago.
Right. Right.
Um, yeah, and that has really, really helped me like settle and be more at ease. So.
Yeah. I mean, you said it kind of just happened, but it's still I still hear a lot of intention behind like the stuff you were doing. It's not like you were just in your apartment or somebody came knocked on it. Hey, you want to come with me? Like, no, you
Sure.
were volunteering. That's like when I. So I said I'm from Philly, but like when I went to Virginia for work, I was living like in the DMV area, like Maryland, right outside of DC. So I was by myself. I'm going through and going to open mics and performances and stuff like that, and like just finding that community, finding that creative outlet and being able to do it that way. So now I would say that even if it kind of just happened, I would say you definitely made decisions that put you in a position to find those community opportunities, for sure. So if I could piggyback off of that a little bit, you mentioned like getting laid off and stuff like that, but what adversity or obstacles do you feel like you had to overcome to get to where you are and to like accomplish your goals?
Hmm.
So we kind of go in the opposite of what we've been talking about, the good stuff and the community and everything. Like, what obstacles did you have?
It's a good one. The two big ones, and I think we've kind of like touched on it already. So one is the imposter syndrome,
Yeah, for sure.
and then the second one is the layoff. So we've already kind of touched on them, and I'll talk a little bit more about the imposter syndrome because we've touched on
Yeah.
the layoff, like
No,
just
let's
going through
let's
it.
let's get into
Yeah.
that because I've had that multiple times throughout my career. I definitely want to touch on that.
Mhm. Um, and I think when I had imposter syndrome, like when I went through that like whole imposter syndrome thing, um, I think one of the things I realized about it was that it's because I was focusing more externally.
Mm.
I was looking at everything that was happening around me versus looking at myself.
Right, right.
Because it's almost born from the need to perform.
Mm.
At least this is my humble observation.
That's right.
um, is born from that need to perform.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's ingrained on us, like, child of an immigrant, or, just coming from, like you hear people like, oh, I'm the first to, attend college, or, whatever it is, you've overcome some things. And you've always like, for me, I felt like I had always had a bar where it was like, there were things that I did. Oh, you like, it's a study that was like graduated one of the top of my class,
Yeah.
got this great job with KPMG, like great track record, and then boom, it's like I need to keep performing. If I don't, then there's something like a lot of people are still like, when
Yeah.
how people say the reward for good work is more work,
Yeah.
but and like every stage there's a bigger whatever to fight or whatever, like, but it's still daunting. It almost feels like I've been going, and now I don't know if I can. You're like, I don't know if I even deserve to be here. Will I be found? Like, there's just a lot of external noise that makes you doubt the progress you've made, makes you doubt the person you are. Again, for me, it's performative in the sense like it's born from that need to perform based on whatever pressure we've had from our childhood,
Yeah.
background, society, whatever it is, just imposes that on us. Again, it's external.
Yeah.
So one of the things that really helped me was just quietening that down and going back to myself. And in doing that, I had to ask myself, what are the things like? Okay, did you? And another thing now, before I go into that, another thing is like in that moment when I had imposter syndrome, I wasn't sure that I belonged. I felt like these people, imagine a room full of like type A's, high achievers. I'm like, I don't know if I'm meant to be here. Um, so I had to pause and ask myself, so like, how did you get here? Did you go through the same process? Did you
Right.
interview? Did you
Right.
write the GMAT, GRE, whatever? How
Yeah.
did you get? It was a process, right? And you the same process that brought these people here. So in terms of fairness and equality, you deserve to be here,
Yeah.
right? Because you were like you went through the process you need to get through, and they decided that yes, this person deserves to
Right.
be here, so you deserve to be here. So that's one. I didn't jump. I didn't like sneak in the
Yeah.
night and be like, oh,
Right.
I didn't like write my name on the list.
Yeah.
I got here fair and square.
You earned your position there. Right.
I earned exactly. I did the work that needed to get me through the door, and I got
Right.
through the door. So bottom line, I deserve to be there. The second thing I thought about was, okay, so let's look at your resume. Which of this is a lie? Did
Mm.
you not graduate college? Did you not work in this
Mm.
place? Did you like
No.
what is the lie here? What are you afraid of
Right.
that people will think you didn't do so you don't deserve to be here? Like, oh
Mm.
well, yeah, I actually did that. I know sometimes there's that it's almost like because we know ourselves, we live with ourselves, we hear ourselves, we know our flaws. So it's sometimes it's hard for us to see the wins that we do for what they are. It's like, oh, it's regular. I mean, I just made that call to that customer and they decided to maybe they just even had the money. Maybe it wasn't just my personal. Like we downplay our skill, like we downplay the work that we did to make things happen.
Damn. Yeah.
So it's like I'm like, yeah, I did all this stuff, right? Like I led this team, or I created this deliverable. It's my victory. It's my work, right? So I had to reorient my mind, and remind myself that one, I deserve to. If I'm here, I deserve to be here. Like to your point, I earned that spot.
Yeah.
It wasn't. I didn't cast a spell. I didn't sneak my way in.
Yeah.
I earned this spot. Like boom, bottom line. So if I'm here, like every other person, I deserve to be here.
Yeah.
I just need. And the other thing is, everything that's on here, I did it. I don't need to. If I feel, I shouldn't even have to feel like I need to convince somebody that I did it. I just need to move with the authority, knowing that this person who did this can do it again and do more. Like
Yeah.
if I'm brought into a situation where I have to create this deliverable, I will do it because I've done it before. So
Right.
I don't care. So I'm going to remove every judgment or everything that I think people are thinking, push it out the door, and
Yeah.
just remember who I am, what I've done, and why I'm here. So I had to like
Wow.
again narrow that lens from, oh, what is everybody thinking? What are they expecting? And zoom in just to myself and like why I'm here, what I want to accomplish, and just face that.
Yeah.
Um, and it helped me. Another thing that I experienced while in school, then one of our visiting well, he wasn't really visiting, he was transitioning. He used to be the CEO of, I forget the name of the company, but he decided to move into academia and like teach a strategy course. So at the end of the class, he was like he was gonna do a like an interview style thing with us, and I volunteered to interview him. and he would just share his experience being a CEO, um, and his life, just talk freely. And I remember interviewing him, and he said, "Oh yeah, like he had imposter syndrome, whenever he got selected to be the CEO." And I'm like,
Mm.
"What?"
Right.
Like, look, this thing doesn't. So sometimes you look at yourself and you think that, oh my gosh, this is like it's an isolated experience that's happening to only you.
Been a
Everybody at
bunch of
some point
yeah,
wonders if they can do the thing. And
yeah.
and that thing is that most times the imposter syndrome happens, or the feeling happens when you're in a space that is not common
Mm.
for you, or in the space that you're not used to. Like, oh, I'm the only we're like five black people here.
Yeah.
Oh, like
Yeah.
whatever it is, it's just there's a newness to it, so there's a pressure to perform,
Yeah.
right? So for him, he was, and this is a middle-aged white male saying he had imposter syndrome. I'm like, sir,
Wow.
first of all,
Right.
so he's like, exactly. So it's not a unique phenomenon. Everybody has that self-doubt.
Yeah.
But the whole idea of it is, you earned your spot. You can like keep it, remind yourself, and that's what that brag, like looking at my resume, and at some point I even had to write like a brag sheet or whatever, like just
Mhm.
write down like these are all the things that I did,
Yeah.
and like just you almost like hype myself, like, girl, you
Yeah.
did that.
Yeah.
It's about you. It's not. I don't care what other people think. This is why. Like, why am I here? Why am I going through this process? Why am I in this? And it could be at work. Why am I in this role? Why was I hired in this role? What am I here to achieve? That's what I'm going to focus on. And if I'm hired to do this thing, what do I have in my toolkit that will help me excel here? I have all these skills. I did it. I didn't. I didn't dream it.
Yeah.
I didn't
You make it
hallucinate.
up. Right.
I didn't make it up.
Right.
I own this journey. So you're just gonna like, and because the thought will always come in, you have to have your brag sheet ready to
Mm.
counter it. We're like, oh, this is a meeting. This person is. I don't want to like mess up because like, yeah, but great. I've had executive meetings
Yeah.
before. I just need to speak. Da, da, da. Like
Right.
you have to have that counter. So it's really in that moment of adversity, it was really a mindset thing that I needed to
Mm.
fix. Especially like imposter syndrome was a mindset thing I needed to fix. And I it's not, I don't know that I've had it in a while, but I don't downplay the importance of speaking life to myself,
Yes.
speaking positively to
Right.
myself, reminding myself the things that I've done, advocating for myself
Yeah.
and the work that I've done. So it's a constant practice, right? And just a constant thing that I think everyone should do.
Yeah. Wow. You put that perfectly. Like, especially early in my career, I definitely had that imposter syndrome, but it definitely is. It's a reminder to yourself. But I think um, with diminishing the imposter syndrome comes upping your confidence, and I think with that comes, like you said, knowing that you've done this thing before, that you earned this position. You know what I'm saying? That the stuff that you on your resume, you didn't make that. Like all of that stuff definitely plays a part in um yeah, I belong here. Like that feeling of uh I earned my spot, and you're in this room with other people. And I think one thing you said that definitely is important is like being one of few in the room. So like plenty of times where I've
Hmm.
been like the only black person in the room, definitely had that feeling of like, all right, like do I deserve to be here? Did I, am I really here? Like that type of stuff. But as I've gotten one more confident in myself, more confident in my abilities, that preparation I think you mentioned earlier, preparation leads to that confidence. Like the
Yeah.
more experience you have with stuff, the more I code, the more even with music, the more I perform, like you just get more, you learn yourself more and you know your
Yeah.
abilities. And because you know your abilities, you know that, like you said, you can, if I need to redo this all over again, I can do that. Or if I need to slide into a position or a role that I haven't been in before, I've done that same thing too. I've slid into other positions and roles that I've never done and acclimated and figured it out and gained that confidence. So like who's to say I can't do it in this role too? So like me getting
Hmm.
promoted, even as recently as last year when I got promoted, I had that brief moment of like, all right, I'm a senior dev now. Like that means I gotta help people more. I gotta, but then I get into the groove of it. Like it's just a job. It's the same stuff I've been doing. Let me just get
Exactly.
back in my confidence. Let me get back in my groove. Like I interviewed for this. I showed them that I know how to do this, and within like a couple weeks or so, I'm in the motions of filling that role. And yeah, I think the way you put that was perfect. Like those couple of things that kind of play into that, and the way that you mentioned that it's a mindset change. That's like the main thing. Is like the imposter syndrome comes from that the way you're thinking externally is going to impact you, but really it's all you. Like it's literally all you. You don't know what these people are thinking. They
Hmm.
We found out that the guy is having the same feeling. You know what I'm saying? Like, but you can't be too worried about performing or something like that. You need to be more worried about what's under your control. What do you have power over? And that's how prepared you
Exactly.
are. That's how knowledgeable you are. That's how confident you are in your abilities, and all of that stuff. I think is why I was able to move past that feeling of like not belonging. So, wow, this is yeah, this is a good interview. um,
I know.
all right,
I'm
so
having too much fun. I can't even
I,
believe like 2 hours. Like yeah.
I know it didn't even seem like that. Um, I can't wait to like clip some of the stuff you're saying because I already know like just hearing the stuff for me. You know what I'm saying? Like some stuff that you said that seems like it would be obvious that it wasn't. Some stuff that you said that you've taught me tonight. Like I can't wait to yeah. Wow. All right. So we're gonna go to the next thing, which is so where do you see yourself going like from here? So I broke it down in like 5, 10, 20 plus years. And then the last part of this question is what does retirement look like for you? So
Hmm.
you can do the 5, 10, 20 if you want, or you can, break it down however you want, but like where do you see yourself going from here? Like I'm very curious about this one.
That's an interesting one.
Mm,
Um, I think role wise, I would remain in customer success for maybe another 3 years. I think that's my cap for customer success.
mm,
Um, I would want to. I think now that I'm in the role, I've been in the role for 4 years.
mm,
I've realized that where I really shine is taking back the way I work with customers. I realize that, oh, this is a concern the customer is facing. And I find a way to create a program around it that is
mm.
repeatable that we could scale to other customers.
Ooh,
Um, so I know there is a role that I could do
yeah,
that would focus on that directly, just
yeah.
creating sales programs to enable those on the field. So I'm still within sales, but I'm more around like creating uh, like go to market motions or programs, to help the folks in the field and being that person in terror. So I would be in that role. I'll sort of be interacting with the customer success managers to say, tell me about what you're going through,
Mm,
and then I create the programs. So it's kind of like leaning, taking the back seats away from
yeah.
customer facing world and being more in like operations, like sales operations, sales program management.
Mm,
I think that would be my next role.
mm,
Um, yeah, that would be something like that would be my next role. But who knows?
mm,
But yeah, so that's where I see myself. So like in the next 3 years or so, I don't mind like still like pushing in the CSM front.
mm.
But I would want to evolve to that sort of role. At least that's what I'm finding now that I really enjoy creating those programs.
Right.
Retirement. What does retirement look like? I don't know, man. I just want to be rich and vacation every day. Um, But I've always been curious about like owning my own thing and running a business.
Mm,
I don't know if I would. I don't know that I would do it alone. Probably like find someone to partner with to like run something.
yeah.
Um, I think and I say this because um, again, I know my strengths.
Mm.
And I think I'm more of a COO than a CEO,
Ah, okay.
which is why I think I would probably partner with someone to
Right.
do something. I mean, there's all the rave about like buying off the businesses from boomers or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And my sisters and their husbands, they're all sort of dabbled in entrepreneurial
Mm-hmm.
type things. So I kind of see myself like, um, yeah,
Going that route.
moving away from corporate eventually down the line, and maybe owning something.
Mm-hmm.
I do like to. I think if I was still going to be in like paid employment, it will be to the extent to which I'm not depending on that for like my daily bread.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it's like I have business on the side running all of that, but
Right.
I just do something that um, I find exciting.
Mm-hmm.
I've always liked the world of not for profits. So
Mm.
maybe like being a program manager for something around that,
Yeah.
um, or teaching,
Mm. I can
like
see
how
you.
that
I can see you teaching. Mm.
or teaching. Like I've thought about it, like how that guy, the CEO who came
Mm-hmm.
into academia. I'm like, that would be nice.
Yeah.
Like, just take a course that allows me to teach maybe once or twice a week or
Mm.
something. So again, it's not like I'm relying on this to pay the bills.
Right. Right.
I have my cash cow, but I just
Right.
have something that I do out of like, let's
Right.
give back, and empower the next generation, something like that.
Mm-hmm. No, that's cool. I do something I've been saying is like when I get older, I wouldn't mind being like a professor or something. Or doing like consult. You already did the consultant thing, but like that would be a easy thing for you probably is just getting back into
True.
that. You retire, you go do a talk here and there. Like at my job they have this thing they do every year where they have people come in and talk, and I could definitely see you as something like that and just sharing your experience, your knowledge, your expertise.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, I could see that for sure in one way or another, whether it's teaching high schoolers, college kids, or people at my
Yes, yeah.
company, professionals. Like the way you are able to break stuff down and um like your thought process in general. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that is beneficial in itself. So no, I could definitely see you doing that for sure. Um
Yeah.
so I guess off of that we'll go into these last couple questions, which I kind of combine them. So you gave a lot of tips throughout this genre. So I don't know what more you can give to people right now, but like what tips do you have to somebody that's, maybe going through stuff that you've been through or trying to get to where you are? And then the last part of this is anything you want to plug. So your Instagram, your LinkedIn, anything you want people to know, extra stuff, anything like that. But first, what tips do you have?
Um, Mentorship.
Mm,
It's important.
yeah.
Um, it's really important. I think that has really helped me. So at every point in time, having, and maybe I'll call it like like people.
Yeah.
Let's break it down. Let's start with having a vision for yourself,
Mm.
because mentorship doesn't work if you don't know what you want out of it.
Right. If it's not aligned with your goals and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, because um, the way mentorship works, somebody's pouring into you.
Yeah.
You don't want to ever make them feel like they're pouring into a basket,
Yeah.
or like there is no like how is it all coming together for you? You don't want to waste your time and their time.
Yeah.
Like, you don't. It's better you don't establish the goodwill than to establish it and then tarnish it,
Mm.
right? Like, so being very clear on what you want for yourself. So vision is important. What you want for yourself. What are you hoping to achieve?
Right.
With like, what does your next move look like,
Excuse me.
right?
Yeah.
If you know what that is, then you need to identify the people
Mm.
that would help you get there.
Yeah.
Now, you could do all the trainings, you could learn the tools, but there are people who would help you open doors. There are people
Mm.
who would be the ladder for you to
Yeah.
climb to get to the next level, right? Who can advocate for you, who could be. So there are people who would mentor you. There are mentors and there are sponsors. They're totally different roles. But at the end of the day, these are people that can equip you for the next step in your journey. Um, and I would also say this because sometimes people look at mentors that, oh, this person has to be older than me. Not
Mm.
necessarily.
Yeah.
I think I see it this way. Does this person have what I need? Do they have the knowledge? Do they have the connections?
Yeah.
Do they have the resources that I need?
Right.
Then I would approach them for mentorship. It doesn't have to be formal, but
Mm.
the whole idea is I'm going to go, and that's why again you have to be vision oriented and know what you want.
Yeah.
So let the what and the why dictate the how,
Mm.
right? Mentorship is one way for you. Like, okay, yeah, you're gonna meet that person and be like, oh, I see that you've achieved this. How did you do it? I want to learn. So I think that's one thing I would advise anybody, like find a mentor. It depends on, and sometimes people like, it's awkward asking, like it depends. There's some people who prefer like a more of a, oh, let's just chat like friends,
Mm.
let's have a conversation. Let's
Yeah.
just, there's some people who prefer structure where it's like, okay, let's work with me for 6 months, work with me for 3 months,
Right.
right? Let's do check-ins. And then, I'm going to come to you and you give me tips, da, da, da. Da. But regardless of what form it's taken, don't be a basket.
Mm.
If people are investing their time, their resources, if they're sitting down to make videos and share out
Mhm.
there, you got to put it to work.
Right.
What are you doing? What you've learned,
Right.
right? You got to put it to work. And it's so exciting when you talk to someone and they come back and say, "Hey, I learned this thing and I've applied it and I've seen XYZ success. Thank you so much." It's
Yeah.
exciting. The
Yeah.
next
It
time you
is.
see me or hit me up and you're like, "I have another question," I'll be like, "Yes."
Right.
You got
Yeah.
30 minutes before, I'm going to give you an hour, 30 minutes right now
Mm.
because I see that you're putting it to work.
Yeah.
You know, you know what you want and you're doing what you need to do
Yeah.
to get you there.
Those are my
Um,
favorite people to help. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So you're excited, that okay, this is good investment because most times you're not paying for this. Like this is like or you're not even like it's someone taking out time that they could have used for something else,
Yeah.
and deciding that hey, I want to pour into you. So it's very important to be able to nurture that relationship and respect that relationship and
Right.
apply it um, in the way that they've like in the way that suits the vision or the goal that you're trying to achieve again. So that's why knowing what you want to
Yeah.
achieve through that mentorship is important because if it's pointless, if like there's nothing like so you guys are just meeting, you're just like it was a
Mm.
waste of time. So
Right.
know what you want
Right.
and like reach out to people. So whether they're younger, whether they're older, do they have what you need? Reach out to people. And I would also say this, and this is career wise, right? I look at it in three tiers. There are people who are in the positions you want to be, or they're in the level you want to be, or whatever. So like there's the top level, and then there are people who are your peers,
Mm-hmm.
right? You guys are all kind of like on the same plane. Grow your networks there as well. Sometimes we just look up, but we're not looking
Yeah.
around.
For sure.
Grow your networks because in like 4 or 5 years,
That
those people will be
they
like,
could
I
be
see some of my peers and they're like VP in this role and
right.
director, like so
Right.
it's all we need to grow our network to on this plane, on this like level where we are, because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, everybody would advance at different speed or whatever.
That's
So we
great
just need to
advice.
keep that connection.
Yeah.
And then there's a downward stream, which I really believe in is reach back. Someone pulled you up, reach back
Mm.
out, pull someone up,
Yes.
could be a younger colleague, could be whatever, but try to because it also helps you develop yourself as a coach, as a leader. Um, so it's
Yeah.
important to also give back, right,
Yeah.
and help someone else as you're learning.
Yeah. That was great advice. I love how you put that. Like, especially that at your peers, because what you said, like, especially at my job now, I see people. I'm moving up. Of course, I see other people moving up. Who knows? Like, maybe somebody I was on the team with 2 years ago is looking for a tech lead a year from now, and then they remember me, they remember my work, and
Hmm.
the rapport we've built in that network and stuff like that. Yeah, that's
Hmm.
I don't know how you came with even more advice. Like everything you said throughout this joint, you came with something else even good. Like yeah, man. Wow. Did
Yeah.
you have anything you wanted to plug? Any
Um,
then
so I
anything?
will. I mean, well, my LinkedIn is my name, Tochi
Mm,
Kanu Iwi.
mm,
So yeah, give me a follow, send me a note. Would love to hear from folks. And I'll just repeat that book, the book title. I think it's a great book for anyone who is looking to get into sales or just
mm,
curious about like how to take a consultative approach to the work that they do. So I'm going to plug let's get real or let's not play,
Yeah, I'm gonna
transforming the
check
buyer
this out.
seller relationship. So it's really great for it. It's Mahan Kausa and Randy Illig, I think.
Hmm.
But it's really about like helping you close deals. Like I'm not even an account executive, but it's helped me as a customer success manager. Again, it takes a consultative approach to working with people. Yeah, and yeah, that would be my plug for anyone who is, if I can find,
Mm.
for anyone who is looking to go into sales or working with people. Yeah, that
Hmm.
would be my plug.
I'm gonna check it out for sure. Did you have anything
Yeah.
else before we wrap up?
No, I think that's it. That's it.
Right.
This was really exciting. I'm
Yeah, it
glad we got to
was.
do this.
Me too. Thank you so much for joining me. Like, I had good expectations for this, but you somehow like exceeded them with like just knowledge and wisdom on top of like I don't even know. Thank you so much. I'm gonna just put it like that. Like, thank you. I appreciate you
It's
taking
my
this
pleasure.
time. Like, we kept talking about like what value you would bring to my audience or whatever. Like, this has been honestly one of the most valuable interviews I've done, and it was worth the wait. I know it's been a minute, but it was definitely worth the wait. And yeah, I genuinely appreciate you taking this time. Thank you so much.
Of course. Of
Mhm.
course. My
All
pleasure.
right. So yeah, that's been another episode of My Tech Story. I don't know if you didn't take anything from this. Yeah, you probably a lost cause. I don't know. Like, I don't even know what to say.
Trying to
But
see
it's been another
things never
episode. Y'all
seen
be
before.
safe.
Ever go places never been explored. Ever reach heights the birds ain't even saw. Ever even setbacks. I'm still moving forward for sure.